Oh, is that right? It actually says several people, like. I think it's been 7 people's computer.
Yeah,
before
I'm
they
sure.
did it.
Well, I didn't hear it say we're recording.
Oh. Silent mode on, we're good. No, I know Rod and Keith will not be, so Mike would be the.
All right, well, Michael need a chair.
I'll give him the line. It's okay, I got one.
I never knew you had to turn those on.
Yeah.
Is
Oh, do
mine
they?
on? Where's the on? Oh. Oh.
Yeah, you're the boss. I can't shut yours off.
We have enough chairs.
It's not really
We're
good.
good. I still have to sit on the end if I have.
I'm sorry.
We have enough chairs.
Yeah, we do. Those 2 aren't coming.
Okay.
Hey,
Get in my hoodie.
I think your hat.
Thank you. My wife made that.
Very nice.
Well, I think I'm probably about the only one of us that wears all the boys got a couple Christmas ago. Usually I'm the one that wears very long.
Great, I took myself off Wi-Fi. Now I can't figure out the wrong way to do.
Yeah, sure.
So did you get all done with the class, Carl? Did you get all done with the class? Did you get all done with your class?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, today was the question and answer on legal issues, and mine was the second one addressed.
oh, what'd you ask?
You will recognize it.
Oh, was it about participating in associations?
What?
Associations?
Yes,
Yes.
there is no law against it.
Um,
There could be our own legal staff might advise against it, but there is no law.
And I,
So you need to be instead of seeing stuff.
Yeah.
you need to have it forwarded to
Yeah.
the other reach, that's what the word is.
Okay, good.
Just
Thank
see
you.
if we have some things that First thing that everybody's supposed to do is.
Like, there's a house number.
Township.
There's my son. I think she can go call someone unless it's some kind of emergency or.
Yeah, you don't need
Sort
to
of.
call, right?
Yeah, call up.
I need those numbers too, because I can't find.
Getting
the card.
together is
Stuck
different
it in
than-
Something, I'm like. well,
than
it's
being a
on
member.
my plate. Thank you.
I say getting together with them is different than being a member.
Talk to.
Okay,
Mhm.
fashion style, I love it.
Something.
All right, can you send me those? I'll take a picture of it. Yeah, just send it to me, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cause none of the others, the townships are members either, so,
Yeah.
but there's no law saying you can't be.
No, maybe it's not a law. I know that our auditors say we can't. And they're kind of the bottom line for where money goes.
Oh,
Well, I know. friends of
I need to
the-
connect to the internet. Is that possible in this?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, do you have a password? Because I'll just connect to yours because I can't figure out how to get onto my other one.
Well, here, let me get my cheat sheet out here. Password.
I'm writing that puppy down.
Good. girl.
I think it's the phone number 231-267-5141.
Okay,
No
township,
dashes.
which one is it? Township public or?
Oh,
town-
23, yeah, and it's the phone number,
Which
It says
is,
incorrect.
231-267-5141.
Hi Denise.
And there's another one, but I never use that one.
Oh, that says incorrect, so. Oh, so what did you say?
267-5141.
267. Give up after this house.
While she's doing that, can we all do a quick mic check?
Check.
Check, check.
Check. Thank you.
You gotta push the little button on the top. Is yours on, Mike? All right, from here, it looks like it's on.
All right, well, we'll call the.
You gotta turn your volume.
It is.
Ready to get you.
Yep. Oh,
You got it?
I think so.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. Do the Pledge of Allegiance.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do roll call. I know Rod Rebant and Keith DeYoung are excused tonight.
So we'll do Steelman,
Here.
Keaton,
Here.
Jacobson,
Here.
Robel,
Here.
Rebant, no, DeYoung, no, Vamos.
Here.
Set adjust meeting agenda. I had one, if we could move the annual report from new business to below the master plan. I think it'll be pretty quick. And then we could get it, if we're good with it, we could either update it or send it on.
So you wanted to take,
10D, no, 11A and move it to 10D.
so it would be,
Would be 10, I'm sorry, it would be 10E.
um,
11A to 10E. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do I have to do anything special? Okay. Declaration of conflict of interest for this agenda. Anybody? Okay. Public comment. Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the planning commission. Comments shall be directed to the commission. Any person wishing to address the commission shall speak from the lectern and state his or her name and address. Persons may address the commission on matters that are relevant to township planning and zoning. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once in the same matter, excluding the time needed to answer questions. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. No? What about on Zoom? Nobody?
No,
in
wait,
the-
I got one.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Heidi Valmuth, 8388 Winnie Lane. I'm your township trustee. I'm also your liaison to the board. In front of you, I handed out 2 documents. One document says Happy Valentine's Day. I made you a treat. Fresh homemade banana bread looks great, smells delicious, and tastes amazing. If you continue reading it, I continue to explain the recipe. And then I imagine myself as being the Whitewater Township zoning office is a beautiful, tasty loaf of banana bread. This is possible. You have a PC filled with dedicated residents volunteering their time who are eager to create a masterpiece. Our packet was out on time. Nice job. It was fabulous to read, and I got to compliment you guys. I got several phone calls about it. It was fantastic. I also gave you a document that says the one question every municipality, which is the same thing as a township, should ask itself before adopting an ordinance. It's a quick read. One thing we have to remember that this states is, do we have the will to enforce the ordinance we adopt? The zoning ordinance is law. It can be enforced and violators can be ticketed, fined, appear before the courts, and in extreme cases end up in jail. However, a municipality has the responsibility and duty to enforce its ordinances consistently and fairly. This goes on to state that we need to remember that we represent the greater good. So when we're thinking about ordinances and articles, we have to remember when we're writing the master plan, they all talk to each other and we work for the greater good. That's all I have.
Go ahead.
I had a question for the planner, probably. When you have zoning ordinances and, for example, in an area, you do not allow maybe accessory building or but I'm thinking of one particular case, I should just say it. In another township, they're having a subdivision condo plat condo site. And in the master, the association, I don't know how to, the agreement between all the condo owners, they're putting in things like you can allow everyone to have an RV parked in their yard, that won't be outlawed or whatever. If we have an ordinance that says no RVs allowed for living, another unit at your home, but the association says that you can, how is that handled? Is who gets to say the final say on that? That's my question, but
Thank you. Zoom.
Closer to your mic.
anyone on Zoom want to make a public comment?
How many people are on Zoom? Okay, thank you.
I don't count the people in the room.
That's okay. I wasn't counting those.
Okay. We don't have a public hearing, so next is approval of the February 1st, 2023 minutes.
Do I need to make those adjustments? Since we didn't cover them or? I mean, we discussed them. But not enough to do anything with it.
Yeah, so what Heidi's referencing is I asked about number 7. I saw comments that first, it says that she would submit a question to the board and request an agenda item. And that, I guess I'll let you.
We're not really there yet. We're not really there yet with the private road ordinance. We're gonna go in a certain direction tonight that helps us get us there quicker. But
So the-
you gotta leave it in there because we did discuss it. We didn't come to a,
That's,
we didn't
yeah,
come to a conclusion. Do we remove that? We didn't come to a conclusion to take anything to the board.
Where's that at? Is it in here like that?
Mm-hmm.
Is the
7.
verbiage changes that need to be done?
It's on number 7.
I mean, if that's what you discussed, I think it probably stays and then maybe we update with
Yeah, we could do that.
this meeting's minutes. That it,
Because we still don't know why general ordinance 32 was repealed. We don't know why they didn't want to do another one. If we need to, there's a different direction we have to go on there. So I think we could leave it like this. Because we're just posing it. We just posed questions. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, under unfinished business, number 1. It's like the 3rd line down. It's just 3 words. It says, come up strategies. I believe it should probably read, come up with strategies. Okay, and then back to page 3 of the minutes. In number 7, the very last line, at the very end of it, it says, and explain the possible fix. I think we should take out fix it should just say, explain the possible fix. That's what I think.
I think it was explained the fix, comma, the possible fix, because there might not really be a.
Okay,
fix.
a comma would fix it too. Yeah, yeah. Something doesn't read quite right there. Yeah, okay, something there. And then I don't know that this is a correction of any kind, but I have a question about a statement in number 7. It talks about that the private road in number 7 it is about the private roads. And it says, it is a general ordinance, police power ordinance, and not under the preview of the PC without board direction. So I question, should we even be talking about this until we get permission from the board to pursue this?
Well, I get that. And I'm gonna talk about that later when we get to the private roads. But it attaches to what he's doing and it also attaches to the master plan. So
I understand that, but the rule says,
I understand what the rule says, but this committee eons ago sent private road ordinance. We should wait till we talk about.
yeah, I
we
was
gotta
just
wait till
gonna
we
say, I think we should,
it's a question. It's not a correction. It's
Okay,
a question.
Can we put that question under private roads?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
okay. Anything else to be corrected on the minutes from February 1? Motion? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I'll second it.
Oh, there hasn't been a meeting.
Well, we're
Pardon?
approving.
Oh, minutes. I wish people speak in the microphone. Yes,
Jacobson,
Yes.
Valmuth.
Yes.
Keaton,
Yes.
Rebant, not available, DeYoung, not available, Steelman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, for correspondence, in the packet, you'll see a notice from Acme Township letting us know that they have started their master plan update. And that was all I had for correspondence. We'll go into reports. Bob Hall is ill, so he's not here with us tonight. I'll give you an update, a couple little things. Randy and I both were able to obtain an electronic version of the general ordinances and what had been done to date with Municode. So that's good news. Randy and I also met with the attorney, like a little meet and greet, and we're able to meet him and kind of decided that Randy would be our primary source of communication for the PC questions to the attorney. And you can always correct me if I say anything incorrect. Binder updates. We've talked about those several times about the general ordinances getting a binder and a zoning ordinance binders. They're close. I know Heidi was the last.
update.
I was gonna say Heidi was the last to work on those. So I'll let her do that in her update, give you a little where they're at today, as of today. As far as books go, there is the green books, which are I call them the green books. They're the Township Guide to Planning and Zoning and the Township Planning and Zoning Decision Making. 3 copies have been ordered for Jacobson, Rubel, and Keaton. I guess you 2 have outdated books, so you're getting current. And then you don't have one on record, so you're getting one. They are not here obviously by today, but Cheryl will let you know when they're received, so you can pick them up. That's about it for me. I guess Heidi, you're up next.
Oh, I'm up again. Okay. Binder updates. Okay, guys, I worked here 4 hours. I got to Article 32. And then we ran out of paper. Or we had copy issues, so we reordered stuff from Staples. I'm not gonna lie to you, there was a problem with that with the credit card. So now that's gotten taken care of. Somebody took care of that, took them an hour. So we now have more supplies coming for the binders. Sorry about the brick walls. We also have another problem. So we're gonna go on record of voting. The clerk does not want to order these books for you for some reason, and I'm gonna have to make it an agenda issue for the board meeting. Because if you notice, see all these tabs in my books? See all the tabs? See all the tabs? All these books talk to each other. Sometimes they talk to other ones that you don't even know you don't have. So without the proper tools, you're gonna get to these books and then you're gonna call me, Heidi, go to, what does the book say? What does the red book say? Well, this is Michigan Township Authorities and Responsibilities of Michigan Townships. So it's your guide to serving the community. You guys are serving the community. So I will now make it an agenda item, and I would like a roll call vote of who would like a red book.
I'll take them.
I need a motion first.
Motion to
Take a roll
ask
call
the,
vote.
to take a roll call vote to ask the board for the red book. The
For
women,
the approval to order the red book.
the approval to order the red book.
Well, you can't say red book. You gotta say Michigan Township Association Authorities and Responsibilities of Michigan Townships.
What she said.
You don't need a motion to ask.
I don't
the
need a
board.
motion to take a roll call vote. Who wants one?
No, because you're just asking who wants them.
Okay. Roll call makes it more official, but okay, we'll go with that.
No, a roll call would be yes or no. Are you going to
They want a book or not.
ask for it? If they
Right.
say no, if 3 of your 5 people say no. they
Right, it
don't want
fails.
then
I get it.
Fails.
I get that. So I'll just ask each one of you. Carl, do you want a red book? Do you want one of these books?
Yes. Yes.
Mike,
Yep.
Rachel,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Okay, I will make the same. I will go through the brick wall again. You guys, I'm trying everything I know how to do. I mean, I baked them a cake and read them that speech to let them know we need our tools. I will keep getting more creative, and I have some other ideas later on in the meeting, but right now, I think that's all I got.
Thank you. Anything from you, Carl?
No, it hasn't been another meeting.
Okay.
Do you want me to say anything about oh, I should have said something. Sorry, can I go back to my
Go
report real
back
quick?
to your report.
I gotta go back to my report real quick because I did talk to Bob about Article 4. And he suggested you read the 20-page magazine article. You can do that. I'm gonna suggest that you read Article 4. I've made a copy, and I'm also gonna suggest you read non-conforming in zoning is the source of much confusion, and then read his newspaper article. Everybody have a copy of his 20-some page document, or do you need that too? You know what I'm talking about in the last meeting? The
Yeah, it was the
document?
last meeting. Yeah.
So does everyone have a copy of that?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Lois made.
Oh, I think
copies.
Mike skated out, but I think you already had it, that nonconformities.
Oh, it's one of the handouts that he handed?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've already read that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He
Everybody
handed out
got
one.
I have that.
Yeah, I have.
Everybody
that.
have this?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. He wants you to read that. And I also gave you Article 4 and some more reading material.
Rachel, under comments, I'd like to propose that the last 5 minutes of our meetings, that we have a synopsis of what we accomplished in the meeting, because we have to have that annual report. Well, what I was thinking, if the last 5 minutes of.
Can I stop
ahead.
you real quick? Can
Go
we
ahead.
talk about that when we get to maybe the annual report or,
Okay,
yeah, if you don't mind? We're on reports and announcements.
Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, does comments? Does that include comments?
that's
Or am I
what I put
supposed
it
to?
in there, it says
Yeah,
comments.
that's, I guess I don't understand. Lois, help me out. Or Randy or anybody.
Well, there's not really comments for board members
Board member comments are at the
at the
end.
end.
Okay, so yeah, we'll save that then. This would be just for the folks listed, right?
You're
9
number
AB.
14. You get to talk on number
Okay.
14.
We'll get this, you guys. We'll get it. It's a lot.
Or
And I-
during the report.
We're doing people that have.
Or
to
when
do
you're talking about
reports.
the annual report.
Annual
that's
report,
what you
yeah.
mean.
That's what I think will make sense. Cool. Okay. So we're gonna move on to unfinished business, which is, our first one up is to discuss, deliberate, and make action on amendment number 86. That's Article 28, the condominium development regulations, and Article 3 definitions. So I'll give you just a little quick synopsis of what I know. Article 28 was reviewed by a work group within the PC, then the entire planning commission, planning consultant, and the township attorney, with a goal of clarifying, adding, or correcting any missing or confusing text or definitions, and ensuring that the ordinance is in conformance with Michigan law. My thoughts are that it's not perfect, and what we have in place presently today is also not perfect. We did hold the public hearing on February 1st. And so it's our job to figure out what we want to do going forward.
If I could add to that, though, when we did go through this section, we went through paragraph by paragraph and had a number of, and those were accepted. And then after we were through with the review, then they went on to the attorney. We had a few other edits to it. It was brought back, then published with a comparison of the existing article together with the proposed. And then now what's before you is the finished version that was put in the proper form by Chris, which would then be actionable by the township board.
Thank you.
Do you have any comments?
I read
No.
through it. Oh, excuse me. Aaron.
No, I was just gonna say, there's already an article in the ordinance. We're not, this is would replace it. There are some important improvements to this over what we have. It's clarifications primarily. They're not drastic shifts in policy or anything like that, just trying to clarify a number of points. Is really because as I understand it, this was reviewed back in 2019 by the Planning Commission as well. So it's one of the fresher pieces of the Whitewater Township zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say, but not so eloquently, was that we have something in place now, which would, so for example, if a developer came to us, they would either go with what's in place right now, or they would go in place if this goes through. So those are kind of our two options on the table as it stands today. And I think our job is to decide if we keep it as is, or we adopt what we've already done all this work on to refresh it.
Well, but for one little spelling error, we've gone through this and it is much, much better than what we have. So I would say adopt this, and in the future, if it needs to be amended, we could amend it. But this is better, much better than what we have and more clear. So I would say we'd want to make
You
a
said you
motion to
found a
adopt it.
spelling error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where was that?
Where was that?
Page 10. Paragraph E, right in the center, it says subject, such project hall be located. And
Yeah,
it's supposed to be shall. Page 10, paragraph E, right in the center of the paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
attorney-
couple other things.
Okay,
Page 10 of what?
page
Of the
10
packet.
of the packet.
Page 10 of the packet.
Well, I'm looking, I don't see I see a page, I don't see a page 10. I see a page 8 and then nothing. Where are we at?
We're on page 10, Carl.
Of what?
Of the packet.
I'm on the packet,
Okay, I'm coming
The-
over to see.
but what are you?
Go right here, page 1 of 10. Go down. Nope, nope, down, 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 down.
I am. And I got to page 8 and that was the end of it.
No, not page 1 of 10. It's be page 3 of 10.
Yeah, page 3 of 10. Page packet, page 10.
Yes.
That's why I said you gotta go down. Okay, go down, one more. No, no, this way, this way, right up here. Keep
That's
going.
up.
Okay, go that way. All right,
Okay.
right where you went past, go down here. Right here.
Do you have? findings
Page
of
2,
fact?
3, page 3.
Yep, you're right here.
Okay.
But don't we do a
Okay.
motion?
One shell should
Roll
be
call,
held.
Then that.
One
And
shell.
then
is
we'll
held.
look at Findings of fact.
He
and
said-
we
Mike,
reference
did
the
you say
findings
E?
of fact.
Yes, paragraph E on
Right there.
Shall.
Okay,
And in the motion, we say based on the findings of fact.
Page 3.
But then I copy and paste the findings of fact in the minutes.
Okay.
In the motion itself, so it's.
But we
big and
don't have to
efficient.
first agree to forward it.
That's the motion.
well, Michael's
Okay.
not done yet.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
on page 13 of the packet, that'd be page 6 of 10. Near the top, number 6. It reads, land subject to flooding or otherwise deemed by the township to be uninhabitable shall not be used for uses that may increase the danger of health. And then it says life or property.
It says to health, life. or-
To health, life, or property. I believe the purviews that we're supposed to be working under are health, safety, and welfare. The word life might be the wrong word to have there. Zoning is supposed to be what we're supposed to be doing is working towards health, safety, and welfare of the public.
Agreed.
I know life is part of safety, but that's not the words we're supposed to be using. It's not the purviews that we are.
Right.
working
Randy,
on.
what do you think? Got an opinion?
Yeah, that is the common terminology, health, safety and welfare.
So what are
Let's
the,
do it.
what are the three you're replacing?
Health, life, or property?
Well, it should be health, safety and welfare instead of health, life or property.
Property.
Okay, and then to me, and I know I'm not the strongest reader here, but that number 6 seems a little contradicting. It goes on to say, such lands within a condominium developed may be set aside for other uses such as parks or other open spaces. Well, if it's a dangerous place to health, safety or welfare, why would we turn it into a park? Or I know maybe I'm a little
Would you do-
confused,
would you
but
do the mitigation? I mean, you could turn it into a park, but you'd probably have to do the mitigation. You'd also have to check with FEMA and see if it's a flood hazard, if you can even do that.
exactly. I mean, you're talking, yeah.
So would FEMA, does, do other things take precedence? Like, does FEMA take precedence over that?
Well, the FEMA regulations would apply to construction of buildings and the necessary steps you take to flood-proof any structures that go up. I mean, a good use of a floodplain is a open space area so that there are no construction, so you're not impeding flood
Right.
flows or not having to elevate the structure above the flood elevation. So
I could see leaving it as a floodplain, but
Mhm.
to say you could use it as a park doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think that's probably a broad term in there, park in terms of being open space, but I can see where you wouldn't want an active park and recreation area where you're building structures and
Or sitting
potentially,
underwater?
right?
Take out parks?
I would say maybe set aside for open space uses.
Yeah, that seems more appropriate.
So take out. How do you want that to read, Randy?
Maybe set aside for open space uses and leave it
Maybe
at that.
set aside for-
Cross off other uses such as
Right.
parks or other, and then add uses.
Right. Did you get that, Carl? Okay.
And that's all I have for that.
So I don't disagree with you, but what I have a question on is this substantial enough change that it needs to go back through
To the attorney, I wouldn't think so.
or anything?
No, I wouldn't think so. I would draw attention to it though, so the board knows that these were changes and we would let Chris know that as well. If he has
Okay.
any objection, they can. I wouldn't think it's substantial enough, but
Okay.
I would draw attention to it just to be sure.
So what are our thoughts? What are we thinking?
Open space.
As the amendment as a whole, what are we thinking we want to do with this?
I thought it looked good, other than those couple things.
Okay. Carl, what do you think?
Pardon?
What are your thoughts on this amendment 86 about the definitions in the condo?
No problems.
No problems?
I agree with that. Health, safety, welfare.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with making the changes and sending it on to the board.
okay. Heidi?
I saw what you saw, but then I know that when you get like into properties, then there's floodplains and all that other stuff. So then that takes precedence somewhere else. So I like your changes. It's less confusing.
It just seemed contradicting to me. I mean,
Well, it does, because other things are gonna talk to it, like floodplains and all that other stuff, so. Now, the only other thing I can think of that you would really do is. If it does have floodplain issues. You'd maybe have retention ponds. So you could put a park around the retention pond, but you've mitigated. So. Now you're changing the process, so I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, and I agree. I think it's, improvement from what we have in place, so we can always revisit it down the road, but it So we need to figure out our findings of fact, right?
Yep. You
So
now have to take off with what we changed.
I have a couple. But but let me know if you guys have any more, but I have to clarify text with varied interpretations. To adjust organizational structure to improve navigation within the article.
You'll say that a little slower.
I was gonna say, yeah, look, you got it, and talk into your mic, because.
To adjust organizational structure. To improve navigation within the article.
There you go, well put.
You ready? To provide additional definitions which were not previously defined.
A good one.
And the last one I have is to improve clarity of existing definitions which were not as concise as the PC wanted. What else? Got any to add?
8.15.
Anybody?
Did we change some of 28.15? Or no?
I have the. The red line one. is
Right,
the one of
right.
them.
I thought 28.15 got a little more descriptive, but I might be wrong.
I think we debated about a couple of planning commission members being in on a meeting like that, but I don't remember actually changing anything.
I think we did. I think we changed it to 2 planning commissioners. Because it was always 1 and 1 before.
I do recall a conversation about that. About how many planning commission.
I think,
members.
I
Yeah.
think we did, so we need to put that in the finding of fact, but I'm trying to get to the old part.
It's the tab that says red lines.
Oh, you got 4 in here, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we talked about, we added the plan commission member, another member. Because remember we talked about it, how transparent is that? Here we go. Yes, we changed it to 2 because it was development with the planner, zoning administrator, and 1 to 3, and we went up 2 planning commissioners. And we
So-
added the planner. So we added the planner and we went from 3 to 2. So you need a finding of fact for that.
So how would you say that?
To better, let's put word transparency in there. To
Create transparency?
Well, you want better transparency than you had before, because we added the planner. There hasn't ever been a planner sitting in there before. And so you're kind of changing you're helping your proposed goals better. Because we did kind of change it. The preliminary review, we did put an opportunity to discuss proposed goals, features, location, and scope of that's. What you just said, that's kind of changed a little bit. But because we put the planner in there, we need to put something in a finding of facts that we added a plan commission member and a planner for more clarity and transparency. That's the only thing I had a
To
question on.
increase transparency. And what was the other word you just used?
Clarity and transparency.
clarity. So I wrote to increase transparency and clarity.
We added the planner. And 1 to 2 planning commissioners. So it's gonna be
I
the
think we maybe,
planner, the zoning administrator, and 1 or 2 planning commissioners.
maybe we should say reduced it to 1 or 2.
Right, because we got Randy.
Well, yeah, but the planning commission members that we reduced the number.
It
of
was
planning-
3,
Right, so we reduced it to 2.
right? Well, this says 1 or 2.
Well, right, but a maximum of 2.
Right.
Well, that was to be in line with the ex parte stuff as well, right?
Right, well, there you go, there's your definition.
Yeah.
To conform with the ex parte rules.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, was
Two and
reduced.
what? And what is this in?
Bylaws is the ex parte.
No, in the, you've added a planner and you've reduced the number of planning commissioners to 1 or 2
Preliminary review,
in the preliminary.
yes.
And also put the zoning administrator in there. It's the planner, zoning administrator, and 1 to 2 planning commissioners.
The planning administrator was always in there, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's not a change.
No, the
not-
zoning administrator, the planner wasn't in there.
Right, right.
I get what you said.
So I put that to increase transparency and clarity. We added the planner and reduced the number of planning commissioners to 1 or 2 in the preliminary review.
Thank you for that.
Do we need to include the ex parte?
I would, yeah, it's a
Okay, so maybe
It's
just
part of
add
the-
that at the end there, or?
part of the reason we did
What
it.
do you think? Randy,
Agree.
I think we keep it as boom, boom, boom. This is
So
why
it'd
we
be to
changed it.
increase transparency,
part of the reason.
clarity. And address ex parte.
No, read the whole thing again. I think it was at the end is where it made sense to add it.
To increase transparency and clarity, we added the planner and reduced the number of planning commissioners to 1 or 2 in the preliminary review.
The zoning, did you say the zoning administrator?
No, because was already in.
Yeah,
there.
that wasn't a change.
Okay.
So maybe
ex
to increase
parte.
transparency, comma, clarity. And
To match the bylaws or follow
And
the
we need to
bylaws?
use the word ex parte.
Yeah, to conform with ex parte
Yeah.
rules.
And to conform with, yeah, thank you.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you. Anything else?
That was the only one I saw that was kind of, you could use for finding a fact.
I think that's a pretty good list of findings of facts.
Good. So we'll need a motion to forward amendment 86 to the township board with a recommendation to adopt based on the findings of fact. Did I say that correctly?
Well, I think we got to add with the changes made.
Oh, right, correct. So do you want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion. Did
Okay,
we get it read the way we wanted it?
we'll have her
Just a
read
second.
it when she's done.
Take your time.
You said you're making it.
I'll make the motion, yeah.
So Mike made the motion, send amendment 86 as amended to as amended. All right, no,
Good.
I put that in there wrong. All right. To forward amendment 86 as amended to the board with a recommendation to adopt based on the stated findings of fact.
Very good.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call when ready.
Now, just because I don't know. Is this one of those places where Heidi
doesn't.
Yeah,
on it
do I not
because
vote on
he
this? Cause I
votes
gotta
on
vote
it
again?
Board.
You're asking me?
Well, you can only vote on it in one place.
Right.
So where do you
do I-
want your vote to count the most, I think is the question.
I think you have to vote here because otherwise you don't have a quorum.
Yep.
4 is our quorum.
No, 4 is your quorum.
Where's a quorum?
Oh, yeah, you do.
So
Okay,
we,
all
so
right.
I don't have to vote, right?
Right.
So then I can't second it.
Okay, I'll second Mike's
I
motion
knew
to
I
vote
could vote on something.
86.
Good catch.
I don't
Lois.
know,
Mhm.
but I
Mike's
don't-
good.
Some things I can vote on and some things I can't.
That's a good catch.
I
So
think it's better safe than sorry.
bet.
Yeah.
safe and sorry.
Especially when it comes to the condominium.
don't-
Act.
Right, you don't need my vote.
Sure.
So I'll abstain and not vote just until we find out better rules on that. So I guess I'll sit here and start looking for those.
That
I'm
makes
pretty
sense.
sure you can't vote on a decision that you're gonna make another decision on.
Right.
So,
Well, you can only vote in one place in the decision making.
correct,
You can't vote here and there.
correct.
On the
But
same
on,
issue.
but on some things you can. So that's what I have to find out.
Right.
Oh, it's in the red book? Oh,
We need that red book.
Of course it is.
Well, it's nice. This is safe. This is safe and no harm done. So
That's right.
when in doubt, go with the easiest way to say, I'm sorry, we'll do it better next time.
So roll call Steelman,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Valmuth as board member is not voting, Keaton,
yes,
Revan's not available, Robo,
Yes.
DeYoung, not available.
Okay, and then just for my notes, and I'm the one then that does this, packages it up to them? Or Heidi does, or you do?
That's up to you and.
And, okay, so
Yeah, I'll reach out to Chris and get those.
And then I
changes.
you'll take care of that then. Awesome, thank you.
Do you think it can be, if you just make those changes, can you do that fast enough that you can get it to the supervisor tomorrow?
I can do that. I don't know about Chris, whether,
Does it
The
need-
attorney doesn't really need to, these aren't.
You-
attorney-
if-
is that something that would be necessary?
I don't have this in Word, though. I have it as, I think I have a PDF.
Maybe I do.
If you have it in Word, I can. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, because
But-
yeah, tomorrow's the deadline for the board
Oh,
packet, so that's
okay.
why it would be nice.
Well, those are so minimal changes. Do we need to run it back through him again?
I think. you
We're
might
not
let him
changing
know, but I don't
policy.
think
Well,
it-
you gotta tell him you made the changes, so you
Yeah.
can make the changes on his document.
Well, we can tell him, but we're not changing the policy. We're just changing.
Oh, I have the same version you would have. Because it's what he sent us.
It's what he emailed us, which I. So I guess with that, apart from that hiccup, I
So
don't. know.
Can we
What
cross
you can
it
do
off?
is just correct it on paper and give that to the board and then they can deal with it.
So just correct it and scan it. Okay,
Okay,
And, you know, still call the attorney and stuff, but keep the
Well,
process moving.
Right. We don't have to
Don't
wait
wait
for
for
a
him.
decision from the attorney,
Yeah.
right?
okay, cool.
No, the board would decide that.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause
Just
they're
notify
they're
them.
gonna get a board. They're gonna get an ordinance ready version from the attorney anyway.
Okay.
that's what
by the
this
time
is.
it's-
That's what this is.
that's what this was supposed to be.
Oh, okay,
So that's why,
they'll do it again.
but if we can put a handwritten one in the packet and then a type one to follow.
Just
That
keep rolling. If they don't want,
Yeah.
if they don't want to read and do their homework till they sit down at the table, okay.
All right, well, good job, guys. Look at us rolling. The next thing is the bylaws, which I know you guys talked about last month. So other than a couple questions I had and an addition from the attorney, I think we're fairly there on it. Does anybody have anything else before I say my thing? You hearing me okay, Carl? Are you hearing me okay?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I sat over there because of that speaker. No, I'm over here. That speaker is.
Well,
pointing
let's
that way.
switch right now. We'll switch.
You know, because,
Let's
and
switch. We
you,
didn't.
wait a minute. You turn your head all the time, this far away from that microphone. These are directional. You have to speak
See?
directly
I
into,
told
it, not
I
over
told
here,
you.
and I've done it. So you can't, and you, same thing. I can't hear you. Plus, sitting over here, when I'm sat over there, since we got the microphones fixed, I could hear most of the time, but when people don't speak this way, I can't hear. And
Okay,
that's why these are.
then let's
designed
switch
this way.
right now. Then let's switch right now.
Good,
Can we
good.
switch right
Okay,
now, please?
that would be helpful.
No, we switch right now. Just fix the problem.
It's very frustrating when I should be out here and I
You
can't.
can't hear us when we turn.
It is very
And I
frustrating.
get
And
$5,000 grants.
Andy, anything?
Just switch. No big deal. Rachel, we gotta use our screaming voices.
yeah, and I'm gonna need you to help train me. So every time you can't hear me, just like give
Yeah,
me a
just
wave
tell us,
because I
Carl.
have to
I'm just as
constantly be
bad.
reminded.
That's why I brought it over here.
Okay. Well, please, I don't want you to miss anything.
What? Oh,
Those yours?
did I forget? I forgot. Wait. Oh, I forgot. I understand. My packet. Was that yours?
Okay, so we're on to the bylaws. I'll start with you, Mike. What do you think?
Everything looked pretty good to me. I didn't have any problem with any of the changes that were made. Oh, wait just a second. Let me flip the page to my notes.
Yeah, come on,
Okay,
cause I got one too, so let's see if it's the same.
okay, on page 2 of 8 of this document, which would be page 19 of the packet. At the top, number F. Along with the changes that you've made here, I think we should say something to the effect of Heidi needs to bring back information from the board to the PC. We didn't mention that. We've mentioned that she's gonna talk to the PC on our
Yeah,
behalf.
nobody ever says I'm bringing anything back,
Back
and
to
I
here.
don't get, you guys, I stood up there, nobody said anything except thanks for the bread. So. That's all right, we'll keep getting creative, but I get it, there should be something in there that, you know, if we're bringing you the information, you have to give us some back.
Right.
Well, we could say that. We could say that they didn't have anything to bring. There's no comment.
Right, yeah, I mean,
And that
that's
would
simple,
be, that
right.
would be it. There.
But at least it's something, it's not nothing.
Well, and that leaves, when you're not here anymore and it's the next person, that describes to them that that's part of what they're supposed to be
Exactly.
doing.
So
That's a
that
good
would
one.
be the comment. No
Yeah,
comment.
even if you get no comment, you gotta bring
No
it back.
comment.
Right, exactly. You still bring that back. And then on page 22 of the packet, when I read D, to me, that sounds like we have a year to get this report to the board, and I don't think that's what it means. And maybe it's just me. I said this time and time again, I'm not the strongest reader in this room. So if I'm misunderstanding it, just tell me and I'm done.
Okay,
Well,
you're
I
reading that
had-
one.
Oh, D. I was G for me. I have questions.
was
for
reading
D, let me read
yours.
D. At the beginning of each year, the chairperson shall appoint one member of the PC to prepare an annual written report of the PC's accomplishments, development, and planning activities for the township board. As required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, this report will include the status of planning activities, including recommendations regarding actions by the township board. This report will be presented to the PC for approval before presentation to the township board. This report should be presented to the township board at the first meeting of the following year. So maybe fiscal year.
Well,
Following.
when it says following year, that's like, we're doing this in January and we have till the following year to get it to
To
them.
submit it. Mhm.
Yeah, to me, that reads, we have a year. So,
Yeah, and I don't.
But wouldn't we be giving them an annual report in April, not January?
So it'd be fiscal year, not calendar year.
That would be fiscal.
That-
not
well,
calendar.
So maybe
that would
Everything
clarify.
else is calendar year.
everything else in the document is calendar year.
When it comes to annual reports, they're calendar years.
Yeah, they are.
Well, we're late.
Yeah, should. I don't think it's fiscal year.
Okay.
Leave it
So when they
calendar.
say previous year, they meant like 2022, and now you have in 2023 to do it. That's what, is that what that says?
I see where he's coming from.
Well, it says at the beginning of each year. So at the beginning of the year, we got to put this report together. And then at the end of the whole paragraph, it says,
Yeah, the following year.
present, yeah, at the following year.
Does the last
Yeah.
sentence even need to be there?
Just present to the board.
I mean, if you just took that last sentence off,
Yeah.
That's not-
would that work?
Be presented to the PC. Presenting to the township board. Yes, yeah, if we take the last sentence off, I think we've got it.
Is that okay?
Hmm.
I didn't hear that, sorry.
What if we just remove that very last sentence in green?
Oh,
Yeah, there's nothing in the planning act that says
You have-
exactly when it has to be, just that there's an annual report presented to the township board.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
And the first sentence says at the beginning of each year. So
Yeah.
that is kind of contradictory and
And it says the chairperson shall appoint one member of the PC to prepare the annual report. And I nominated Rod.
well, the way I read that is that person, you assign somebody at the beginning of the year to keep track of the progress that's been made throughout the year, and at the end of the year, they submit that report.
Exactly. That's why I told Rod, here's what you're doing, because he's doing that already.
flow chart.
Yeah, so let him just keep going.
So maybe that is what it's meant. That is how it was meant.
That's why I'm
Well,
asking the question.
Clearly, we have to clarify it, don't we? Since
We
none
could
of
put
us-
a date on it. We could say by April, if that's what we want, if, But
Well,
the
what's it
beginning of the
say
year
it
is
says the
January.
Beginning of each
No,
year,
that's right.
which
Yeah.
would be January. The chairperson shall appoint one member of the PC. So,
How it's done doesn't necessarily matter if they're, whether it's this flow chart or whatever, but one person is going to
pile it all, right, and Rod's already
Yeah.
doing that.
So I think
kind
if
of
we just
like done
remove the
that.
last sentence, we're just make it simpler. We
Yeah,
like
I think it makes it
simple.
more clear.
Yes.
Is that okay with you guys?
Yep.
Just removing that last sentence?
Now, do you think we gotta send this back to the attorney?
No, yeah, no.
I don't think so either.
Did you have anything else on it, Mike?
Yeah, on page 24 of the packet, number 11 at the bottom of the page, in the first sentence, it reads, to facilitate timely action on agenda items, the policy.
It is the
I think it should
policy.
read, it is the policy.
See, Michael, you're better than having a computer.
Right.
I don't know if I'd say that.
No, you don't get this from the computer didn't do it.
Good catch.
And that's what I have for that document.
I know
Good
who's
job.
gonna be editing our documents, Michael.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I only have one and it's
Go ahead.
G. I have one and it's G, let's see, on this packet page. It's on the same page we just crossed out the last sentence.
Packet page 22.
Yep. Packet page 22. If you go down to G, it says review and recommend appropriate actions to the township board.
What?
Hold
That's not what
on.
mine says.
Well, hold on, I'm reading notes off the other one too. Review and approve and submit an annual budget to the township board. Did you want to put a person's name
I-
who's gonna do it? Or are you just assuming that this is all carried down from the chairperson and their second?
Well, it's under duties of the PC, and my question was that same one. As far as I understand it, the supervisor has done the budget,
Right.
and I've never seen it, so. Are we technically supposed to be doing that? Should this even be in here?
How about instead of, the PC review and approve and submit? We would submit, but we would be putting it forward as a suggestion. So should
But-
we put
But
suggest?
I think we
instead
need
of
to answer
submit?
Rachel's question. first.
Yeah,
Well, we don't, I asked and I was told the supervisor does the budget.
then it shouldn't even be on our list of duties if we don't do it. What is typically done, Randy?
I think you would want for the planning commission to propose something. So the
That's what I'm saying,
supervisor
so
could
instead of
react to
submit,
that and,
right.
and the whole board then. I mean, the
So
supervisor
maybe-
obviously knows what's going on, but at the same time, he wouldn't necessarily know what's in the
That we
minds
needed
of all the
some
planning
costs,
commission, or
right.
what you're thinking about doing in the coming year. Those kind of issues. So I think that's what G was intended to cover.
So should we, instead of put submit, suggest?
Well, what about review, approve, and submit an annual budget to the supervisor? Or
Yeah,
review,
instead of the township board, let's put
Yeah.
supervisor for approval. Or not approval, he puts it, he would make the budget. So
I think just supervisor, period. I think.
to the supervisor. Do you want to put another word in there like for final approval? But it says review, approve and submit.
The only thing I would think that might need to be added is that is a fiscal year thing. And
Mhm.
so our due date would need to be, prior to his due date of the fiscal year. So.
Then
maybe we need
usually
to add
start the
due date.
budget, yeah, and you'd have to turn the normally the budget. I mean, we're already doing it now, so you would want to at least get it in by January, because they want to move the process up. I mean, they're supposed to be reviewing the budget every quarter. So do you want to go every quarter you're gonna review your budget or once a year? I don't think our budget is big enough to review quarterly, but
Once a year seems.
Once a year?
appropriate For what we're doing.
So that could be kind of our January when we're taking care of the bylaws and the chair or the elections. That would kind of be a month where it's a catch up on all that administrative stuff. It makes sense to me. If it's timely enough for,
you could word that better, though. You could put, let's see, review, approve and submit an annual budget to the supervisor.
I think that covers it myself. I mean,
By January, we should do it in the January meeting for sure, though, because they're gonna start.
well,
budgeting in
if you want to add that, that would make sense.
Do you want to add a date?
I would just say January meeting. Yeah.
January meeting review and submit, okay? That's all I had.
Al, did you have anything?
If,
Go ahead, Mike.
if we add the month that we're gonna do it in, then, will we be able to get it to the board in time? Like, a lot of times we talk about something and then in the next meeting, we have to make a change.
I'm thinking in November, we should be putting our budget together personally.
Yeah, because
It takes,
To review,
meetings.
approve and submit
right,
in 1 month.
so maybe in the
and
start of
be able to
November.
get it To the board in time to make their meeting.
Right, I'm talking maybe in September, start the budget process.
So maybe,
September,
we need
November,
to
what do you
have-
think? October?
so I read it as it would need to be done by January, but you're correct. You would need to start sooner.
Yeah, I mean, to get all those things done that we put in there.
Mm.
I think one meeting is not enough
So
for us to
review,
get it to the board on time.
What do you think, Randy? 3 meetings?
Whatever it takes, but I think you obviously have to have a lead time in this. So
so you could say review, approve and submit an annual budget by the January, to the
Right.
supervisor by the January meeting or?
Or by,
January.
right, or do
By
by
the-
the end of November, just
Right.
do by the end of November, you know.
I don't know how much time it's going to take, so you might. I don't know.
Well, if we should know our budget stuff. I mean, we should figure out if we need things all year round. So we should pretty much know by October how much we need from the planner. And he's not in our budget, just so you know. The planner's not in our budget. He's in the supervisor's budget. Or actually, he's under his own. So,
I would think if we look at it in November, we ought to be able to have it submittable to the board by January.
at least,
It seemed to me, it's not.
there's
we're
not a lot
changing
in there.
policy, we're just deciding what do we need money for, and like you say, all the way along the way of the year. We could be having a tally or a list of
Right.
things.
So are you saying review in November, approve and submit? And approve and submit an annual budget to the supervisor on or before January?
Yeah, I liked your comment about by January, how you
Okay.
worded that, I like it.
Because here is the budget.
Then
On or before, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
that way, whatever meeting we have time to do it in prior to that date, we fit it in.
okay. Randy, are you making you'll make the corrections?
Yeah, so far it's just submit the annual budget to the supervisor, right? Did you?
I think we were gonna
On or
add
before
on or
January.
before January,
The board's January meeting or
January township board meeting, yeah, something like that.
Well, you'd have to get it in the packet, so 10 days before the meeting, so
We,
you're just
yeah,
gonna make it November 31st and call it a day? 30th? Oh, that's right, half trees. I remember my nursery rhymes. Thanks, Denise. Okay, in the budget,
Well, on or before what day?
you can put no,
January meeting.
yeah, I mean, if
Yeah,
you do the
board's
January meeting,
January meeting.
yes. So we would have to comply with their packet time frame and all of that. So let's
Right.
take all that into consideration.
Right.
When we're doing it. So truly by October, November, we would begin, but we don't have to list that here. We just know
Right.
we have to begin it.
Right, it has to be done by the time their meeting comes up in January.
because if
Correct.
you take all the wages off, and the social security, the Medicare, we have office supplies, postage, professional services, which is, who knows, dues and memberships, mileage reimbursement, meals and lodging, education and training, publishing and printing. And that's the end of our budget.
Okay. Can you share a copy with us for that for the next?
I should have a better one. This one, we
Okay.
didn't go over our budget because the supervisor wasn't there and this is his baby, so.
I'll add that, we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a future meeting because I need to
Sounds
learn
good.
that too. Okay, Al, did you have anything on this?
Yeah, on section 6C, conflict of interest, says the PC member owns or has a financial interest in the property that is required to receive a notice of a public hearing as required by the Whitewater Township zoning ordinance on an application under consideration by the PC. So on that one there, I think I'd also downloaded from an accounting firm, they instruct CPAs on what the definition of a financial interest is. And I made some copies here if anybody wants them. But it says it's an ownership stake, security or a debt security in. So it's defining a conflict of interest if you're going to basically gain in any way off of that. If do you own part of it? No. Okay. Did you put money into it in any way? No. Are you going to get any equity back out, such as rights or obligations? And if the answer to those are no, then that you don't have a conflict. So if anybody wants to look at these, excuse me. And what this firm here is they instruct CPA. So I figured that would be a good place to have a definition of what they feel. What is a conflict of interest? Because, you know, that's pretty, it's kind of a vague.
Yeah.
And Carl, did I interview somebody?
So are you suggesting adding that definition to this section?
Yes, I was gonna suggest that if we add a definition, so it's clear.
And put that in definitions, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Here?
yeah, there is no definition.
There is no definition.
Oh, that's.
But that could be our definition. If,
I just,
I
have-
just was curious where to put it. That's.
Yeah.
I just have one question on it, though. Okay, so if we put in the definition, is there any other laws, statutes, anything else that we should be using a definition off of? There's
not
nothing
that
that
I
we
know of.
have
The
to.
lawyer's opinion.
I think you're just clarifying that term, what financial interest is, and you've got a CPA's definition of that, so.
Okay. I just making sure there's not something that would have to override that.
and I put on there too, Rachel, their website. And that Stephen Bragg's, where you can contact if you wanted to. It's www.accountingtools.com.
Mhm.
So what do we think? Good to add the definition?
I think so.
Okay,
I would add that,
At the end of that.
not replace
Section.
something.
Are you gonna add it on to C or are you gonna make it
Add on
D.
to C,
add it on to C? Okay.
because this is talking about security or debt as well. If they owed you money,
Yes, that's a good point.
that would
Yeah,
count as a
That's a good
financial
point.
interest as well, even though
Yeah.
you're not,
benefiting.
yeah, you're
The
not, yeah,
opposite.
it's almost the opposite, which I wouldn't have thought, but obviously makes sense.
I think too, if we make it clear to us. And we have it in our bylaws, then it's gonna be clear for everyone else too, and then it may.
Yep.
So I think that's a good point. We could add it to the end as a definition.
Perfect.
Good, thank you. Did you have anything else?
No,
Carl, do you have anything on the bylaws?
No.
Okay, the only thing I had is, and I put it on there, was under chairperson, so section section 2B, page 3 of 8, packet page 20, number 4. I put prepare, begin drafting and report with zoning administrator. But that seems redundant and I think it should be removed because we have it under section 4D as duties of the PC.
where was
So-
that, Rachel? I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so
Where are
packet
you at?
page 20,
Page 20, okay,
packet
Page
page
20?
20. Packet page 20,
okay,
very top,
Okay.
number 4.
okay, there I am, okay. Okay,
I think that number 4 should just be removed because we talk about it elsewhere.
okay, that's good.
And it would just be redundant.
Just, okay,
Yeah, I think I like that.
And that was it for me.
Randy, you're okay with yours? Okay, just checking.
So then help me out. Does this enough change that it needs to go back through or can we make a motion as?
I think
Amended.
it's fine to pass.
Okay,
That's my
So-
opinion.
I would entertain a motion to pass the bylaws as amended.
I'd make a motion to pass our bylaws as amended.
Second it.
And then I will get that in the packet tomorrow if you're able to make the final
That'd be
updates.
great.
We gotta-
In the
The board.
oh, the board
packet.
packet, okay.
I think we have to do roll call though, but.
Valmuth,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes,
Keaton,
Yes,
DeYoung is not available, Steelman,
Yes,
Rebant is not available, Robo.
Yes.
you're doing good. Okay, so next is unfinished business C, ZO updates, zoning ordinance updates and proposed action. We've talked about this several times in different avenues, but we were trying to come up with kind of more of a formal way to present this to the board. So I hope you've read page 26 through 26 and 27 and then the PowerPoint. And I'm just gonna open it up for discussion on all of that, or let Randy explain if he wants to help me out there.
It's all pretty much written out as far as the steps proposed. There are a list of 9 areas, probably 10 actually, that would be a area to focus on for getting the zoning ordinance in the form that we want it to be in. We've talked about this at prior meetings and so this just adds more depth to that, the reasons why. I'll just kind of go through them quickly though, just so it's clear to everyone. What we're talking about doing is trying to create one document that is interrelated. A zoning ordinance is not a bunch of independent chapters. It's one book with definitions that apply through the whole thing, that sections refer to each other. We've got to get to that point. It's cross-referenced and, you know, not being disparaging towards what you have. In 1972, they didn't have computers and they didn't have Word and anything. A lot of communities are in this position and a lot of communities have gone through this. There are duplications in terms of requirements, which is a dangerous thing to do, because if you say a requirement in one part of the ordinance and then you say something similar at the other one, they're not exactly the same. For example, lot size requirements are in a chart as well as in a verbal text. They're the same, but it's risky. I don't generally like to do that. We should look at the procedural actions to make sure that there's clarity and to reduce any ambiguity. We need better graphics in there. There's a handful of them. Most of them are in the landscaping section, not in the other parts of the ordinance where it's probably needed most. One of them is actually backwards in the document. I don't know how that happened, but you know, then since the bulk of the ordinance was written before the Planning Enabling Act of 2006, we should be looking at some of the earlier sections and making sure that they're compliant. I don't have any reason to think they're not, but I would like the chance to review that. And I'm sure the attorney would as well. We do have an issue, as we've mentioned, with the legal descriptions for the zoning district boundaries that needs to be addressed. There are tools today that we can use that would hyperlink sections to section, as you say, see section, whatever, click on that, it takes you there, as opposed to thumbing through a 100-page ordinance that is hard to find things. We may find the need to move some sections around a little bit. We talked before when we were going through the special use and site plan review requirements. It'd be better if those were separate. That might be the time to do that. And then we have more of a logical sequence of material. Then again, the definitions, and that's going to bore people to tears, but there is a real need to make sure that those are.
Some of the definitions, we didn't even have some definitions in there.
And you know, nerdy planners like I have books that have definitions of what a front yard setback is, or and you can pick from a dozen of them that come from different ordinances. So you just take that stuff. And so anyway, the point is that, in fact, I even use an example. We got a couple of cases where we put requirements in the definitions. And
don't belong
They
there.
no, it
don't
doesn't
belong
belong
there.
there. I mean, because that's about the last place you're going to look for it.
Right.
So, you know, and then when you have these kind of problems, it makes mistakes easier to happen inadvertently. But when you can't find things, or you're looking through the ordinance, and like an offense, you could see if you were issuing, if anybody in this room was issuing a permit for a fence, you'd look at the ordinance, probably not see anything, go say, okay, and then not know that there's something in the definitions.
And the definition is a certain kind of fence.
Yep,
Okay, I got that too.
yeah, it's a residential fence,
Yeah.
and so,
It
you
can't
know,
be from.
we gotta address those things, and so then I also have a kind of a PowerPoint there of all these issues that are kind of more graphically showed. I used to do a presentation at local governments for the top 10 reasons to update your zoning ordinance. And so that's why there's 10 of them.
Would you like to give this presentation again?
I could, I guess these examples, just I should point out, these examples are not from Whitewater. I think one or two might be, but they're from other places. So
Well, that's okay, but
I did that purposely. I don't want to draw attention to,
I get it. I
You
get
know,
it. Do you want me to present it in the packet as a report, or do you want to present a report to the board?
either way.
I would say, I think what we need to do is really talk about the bottom of page 26 and the top of page 27 and make
Yeah.
sure that we are all in agreement with that.
That's a key point.
Yeah, and once we know if we are in agreement with that, somehow we do need to get this formal request to the board, you know, if we're in agreement, or we can adjust it or alter
We got
it.
4 more.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just gonna read number 1, for example, no more amendments should be worked on apart from Article 28 until shortcomings with the existing ordinance are addressed. We simply believe we lack a good foundation to build on and move forward with. Agree or disagree?
I totally, agree.
I agree.
That's a 100%.
yeah, I totally agree with that.
Okay. Review and edit zoning language in a manner that is as current. Did I just skip one? I didn't- Yeah. Your turn to read. We'll go around the table. Okay, how do you got number 2?
Okay, the work necessary to create the needed foundation should be approached in the following way. A, identify all adopted zoning language in whatever form it is and retype it into a single MS Word document. You want me to read B too? Sure. Review and edit zoning language in a manner that is as content neutral as possible. The detailed task and process of reviewing the existing ordinance as described above will likely reveal many issues that need to be addressed. Some small issues should be clearly identified and corrected. We can use colored text so minor changes are evident. Great word. Substantial issues should be identified, added to a running list, and then left to address at a later time. This will help avoid getting bogged down in larger issues and delay the completion of the whole project.
All right.
Go, Michael. See
No,
you.
well, let's stop right there. That's a lot right there. So do we agree with that was said so far, or disagree?
What is content neutral mean? I don't understand that.
So we would want to try not to change requirements or standards that are existing in the ordinance now. In other words, I wouldn't want to change the front yard setback from 35 to 40 feet just because that's a better number. I'd leave it at 35 and then, but put it in a chart, put it in the right place, put it only once, and then make the list that we got to come back to that and then address whether 35 is the right number, or is it 55 or 25 or whatever. So that would be content neutral in my mind, that says that we're not changing anything. I don't want to
Okay,
get too far
okay,
into the change mode of the
Neutral,
ordinance.
it says what-
Yeah, I don't know what other
I
term
don't
they are.
understand that at all.
Yeah.
You're not changing anything. You're,
Well, because
you
you're
shouldn't be
leaving,
changing, but
You're changing minor things, but you're not changing major things.
the meaning, yeah, that's different. That's not content neutral.
Oh.
That doesn't.
are you thinking of it more on a gender? Are you
Right?
thinking it on another context, maybe?
Well, yeah,
well, we could change the terminology there, if, you know, if,
content neutral
If-
to me just doesn't mean a thing. I
well,
don't know what it's telling me. You're saying we're gonna rewrite everything to make it all kind of consistent. But we're not gonna change
Not at this point.
the ordinance.
I don't want to change a lot of
Well,
material. I don't want to have this be a brand new zoning ordinance
No,
to the
no.
community that
Yeah, but
that's gonna
that
have.
doesn't- Content neutral doesn't say that. I mean, Well, changing the content or the meaning or the, and
So
Could we
what
go
I
with minimal then? Would that be a word?
was gonna say, what word would make sense to you?
What word would make sense, Carl?
changing the,
Changing the terminology.
changing the intent.
Well, we don't want to change.
You don't want to change the intent, you're just trying to clarify the language. You're not gonna say, like you said, say 40 instead of 30. Yeah, you're not making changes to the ordinance as it's intended. You're just clarifying terminology, so everything makes sense. That's just. I would
When
say
you,
intent. I would say intent. That's.
Like
close to
content
what
and
I-
intent.
I like it. It's-
Some-
Well, changing
Is
the
this a
intent.
planner term, Randy?
Probably.
Content neutral? Well, I'm just, because I think he's
Yeah, it's,
confusing the context here, so I'm trying to see if there's another stupid.
You're not
way.
changing the content, you're just clarifying the language. So,
yeah, if it says, so let me reread it to you as a whole and see if you think about it different. Review and edit zoning language in a manner that is content neutral as possible. The detailed task and process of reviewing the existing ordinances described above will likely reveal many issues that need to be addressed. Small issues should be clearly identified and corrected. We can use colored text so the minor changes are evident. Substantial issues should be identified, added to a running list, and then left to address at a later time.
I think that clarifies it. I think that gives it the definition we was looking for. I think that
That describes.
that
it.
describes it. I think that is a definition. Now, maybe, and you got to remember if Carl
Yeah.
couldn't quite, and it wasn't quite clear, then it's probably not be clear to a lot of people. So why don't we put as defined? Could we leave the term in
Oh, you want the legal, you want the
and
legal
put the
def-
term? Yeah, what is it?
You want the legal
Yeah.
definition? Okay, this is from Law Insider. Content neutral means
you share
without, I'm sorry,
Microphone.
still. Content neutral means without regard to the substance or subject matter of the public expression or to the viewpoints expressed therein. There's some more.
That's not helpful.
No, and really that's saying, if you follow that, it's saying that you, the lines underneath it.
one of my,
How about if we, you know what, Randy, how about if we, or what about if we left it like it is and put as defined below? Because when you read what Rachel was reading, it becomes clear. So would that leave the content neutral as described below? Would that be a,
why do you have to do that? That's making it.
well,
worse.
I guess for
Yeah,
no
so
more,
Babylon, now we gotta
Well,
take
right.
a lot.
if you have a better term to put
Okay.
in there, we're listening.
I did, intent.
well, we can just edit that sentence, review and edit zoning language such that there's a detailed task.
Simple too, I mean.
Okay, just a minute.
That just-
I want to write down.
Go ahead.
Review and edit zoning language.
See, a lot of time.
Yes,
It's ridiculous.
I see what you're saying.
Intent neutral
Okay,
means
you can
nothing to
update
most
that,
people.
Rich.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Randy's gonna update that, so,
We'll get rid of that term so we don't trip anybody up.
yeah.
I had
That's what it's
a,
about, is making sure it makes sense, so we
My
get the right
first-
thing going on. So I'm gonna read C now. The planning commission is ready to work with our planner on this project. He would lead this project and we would naturally include our zoning administrator and township attorney in the process. Agreed?
Agreed.
I agree.
D, of course, we are looking at a substantial amount of work and there will be associated costs. Our planner has indicated the need for between $7,000 to $9,000 in funding to support this work. A funding range is necessary as there are several unknowns with respects to available documents. And updated zoning ordinance can be expected in about 3 to 4 months, depending on meeting availability. Agree or disagree?
Is that enough time?
I'm not sure, quite honestly,
Then
because,
let's-
well, just I have some personal issues that just came up today.
Well,
too.
that's okay. Let's bump it so that we make our goal, we don't fail our goal. So, 6 to 8 months. I mean, we're doing a lot of work, you guys. They don't realize how much. So I think we should put 6 to 8 in there.
I'm comfortable with that.
Me too.
Because I don't want.
Works for
you can't
me.
Set a goal where it's a possible failure, at least get an achievement.
So you better to under promise and over deliver than do it the other way around.
Exactly.
Well, and that lines up more with our master plan too. So by the time our master plan's done, we've identified the major issues, but we know how to correct them based on the master plan.
Right.
I mean, that makes
Right.
sense to me.
Right, so we are not making major changes to the ordinance. That comes after the master plan.
Correct.
You go back to adding a new zoning district, changing standards, big changes like that.
Correct. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
We're on the same page. Okay, so E. The updated zoning ordinance would be the subject of a public hearing before being forwarded to the township board for action. I think that's a given, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have to.
That's the process.
Once adopted, Whitewater Township can then systematically move through more substantial changes, giving each needed attention and deliberation. I mean, I think it's beautiful in what we've been talking about and kicking around for months and kind of where we're at. We have to make this like official request to the board and sort of halt a bunch of little changes until then.
Instead of would be. Wouldn't, will be. a Better word, because it has to go to the board. It's not.
Sure. That makes sense.
Where's that at, Carl?
E,
E.
Okay.
Instead of
Oh,
would be, I think it should be will be, because. That's, would, seems a little weak to me. 'Cause will is like shall and what, could use shall too.
You know, it may be too that there is more than one public hearing in that mix too. I wouldn't say there. Or meetings or whatever too, I guess, without getting into that, that's premature to talk
How
about.
about we say will be the subject of possibly many public hearings? We don't know what's gonna happen. So do you wanna, if you're gonna put will, you better put an N. You don't have an N. We don't say how
Say
many.
at least one, at least a public hearing.
Of at, yeah, of at least a public hearing. Yeah. that
Will be
makes
the
sense.
subject.
It keeps it open-ended.
Right.
At least one public hearing.
Um,
yeah, that works.
That works.
so what I'm hoping we can do tonight then is make a motion and to make this official and a formal request that goes to the board and we can decide who's gonna present that, whether it's Heidi or Randy to the board. If we do this tonight, then we can get it to them tomorrow and it can be in the March 14th meeting and get us moving along. So does anyone want to make a motion to have one or the other of these two present this to?
I mean, I'll help you. I'm not gonna leave you doing nothing.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I could too. I don't actually know.
Pictures and boards or something.
And I could be a part of that as well. I think I'd have to check my work schedule, but certainly help. We need
Yeah,
that.
I'm counting on that. I guess what I would have a system where I would prepare material, bring it to you, review it with you, get your feedback, make changes based on the comments, move on to the next piece and work through it systematically.
I
Okay.
think it's better coming from you than me. Cause
Okay.
you're the paid contractor.
Okay.
Knowledge is power. You have more than I do. I'm just saying, I have to get creative to get them to listen to me. This is a beautiful presentation. All you gotta do is keep their attention.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we send this recommendation to the township board as amended, as we talked about. And have Randy present it at the March 14th, something like that,
And that's
right?
okay with you to present it? I'll second that motion.
I mean, I'll make
So
sure
I
you're
need
gonna do it.
this
from your
better.
phone.
Yeah,
Okay,
Because
good.
I just have motion by Stillman, second by Jacobson to present this action plan to the board.
Or,
As amended.
As a, well.
yeah, but you want to call it something, don't you?
Whitewater zoning update process.
I know I keep saying revamp, but it's just, the only thing I can come up with. I don't know.
Proposed action plan is what you've got.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put it as a proposed action plan.
okay. I mean, or should it? Yeah, that'll work.
My suggestion is that not only do we do a PowerPoint, but we make the print a little bigger and put it in front of them. So if somebody would make the print a little bigger, I will take it and make it beautiful and put it in front of each one of them. Anybody else have any other suggestions?
Do we do a roll call on that?
No, we have to.
You
I
okay?
could throw
I
ducks.
just increased my.
Screen.
My printer.
Randy, I could throw rubber ducks. See, there's the picture.
Like that?
I have some, so I could make this pretty
2
interesting.
ducks in a row.
Yeah. You have a couple too?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should just make a collection. We're getting our ducks in a row. One
Got a
at a
clip
time.
art library that is barely fits on the computer anymore.
Yeah.
The, roll call Jacobson,
Yes.
Keaton,
Yes,
excuse me, DeYoung's not available, Robo,
Yes,
Steelman.
Yes.
Valmuth,
Yes.
Rebant is not available.
So I think we're done there, right? So the next thing we're gonna do is do the master plan. So I'm gonna move out of the way, right? Because you need to do this projector and I just wanted to real quick say that we had originally tried to schedule this for February 22nd. There was some confusion surrounding the formalities of a work group. So we've decided to be, in order to keep things on track, to combine it with tonight's meeting. So Denise gets to be a part of this meeting because she's a part of that committee, so she'll be able to engage with us during this section, just so you're aware. And we have a couple other members, but they're not here and I have not gotten anything in writing from them. So we'll let them add their thoughts after the fact as well. And of course, public comment, anybody can let us know what they think about it. With that, I'm gonna move out of the way. Is that good?
Okay, yeah. So again, this is the committee established for the public outreach component of the new master plan. The intention was to have a dedicated group to navigate through the what existing public input we have from the 2009 survey, what we need going forward in terms of not only potentially another survey, but potentially work groups or public meetings, workshops, whatever form that might take in the summer. There's a lot of decisions to make. There's a lot of conversation to be had. You know, we knew the planning commission's agendas are going to get crowded here with potential developments and other things. So the idea of having a committee in place made a lot of sense. So the challenge to the committee was to, number one, look at the existing survey that was done in 2009. I wasn't here for that, but to identify takeaways from that. And then also to begin discussions about a new survey. What we would do, what kind of questions we should ask. So I have some material, but I want to see if anyone else wants to start with your observations of anything. Okay. Okay.
Did you want something to drink? Get it for you.
No, I'm good. I have it right here.
I had a couple questions. Maybe I can toss them out and maybe you'll address them anyway. But when I read it, I thought, I wasn't sure like the options for the answers. How those are determined. Do we determine those as when we're writing the survey, or, you know, how are we choosing the options that are here? Because I thought of several, 14 years later that might be more pertinent or. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know what conversations took place to develop the options, or even the questions themselves, why they chose those questions, why they limited the options in those ways. But I mean, it is what it is, and so we can take from it what we can and then potentially craft a new survey to explore these issues more completely. So
Reading it over, it looked in part, I believe that they hired someone to develop this survey, so if we have updated questions, looking at the public comments from the past year or two, that's how I can go back on, at the planning commission as well as the township board meetings. There might be some indication of other questions to add to this from the public that if something's come up again and again and again, then that is one of them. And for myself, I liked it. The one question that I would like to add is people, if you ask them like, increased population for the township, where would you want it to go? And they go, oh, well, here and there. But if they said, well, if there was a subdivision put in, where would you want it to go? Because that has happened, or, an RV park or apartment complex. If an apartment complex, a developer came in and said, I want to get in 100 units, where would you want that? Would you want it in a commercial zone or anywhere? Because it said anywhere in the township, I'm like, maybe they would change it if they knew what the number,
yes.
and I would like that question.
So Lois, is the screen being shared with people on Zoom now?
I set it so that you were sharing. Did you click to share?
I'm not sure that I did.
It is set for you to share if you set yours to share.
Can you help me with that? Oh,
Your screen. And then your screen.
did that work?
Yeah, that did it.
You can see it.
Yeah, I can see it on that other computer.
Okay, yeah, good, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, it worked. Okay, so what I did is just put together just a handful of comments and thoughts about what I took from the survey. And again, that's really up to other members of the committee to weigh in on this as well. But if I could just. It's not advancing here.
Is it a PowerPoint?
Yes,
So can you just click on the next page on it?
I am, and it's,
Oh,
but it's not changing on,
Is it
The
changing
screen.
on yours, but not on hers?
yeah, it's changing on my screen, but it's not changing on.
it says we're looking at Caleb's screen.
Yeah, I don't know why that's.
Uh,
All right, well, I'm sorry, I don't know why that's not going through.
Is
That's,
something gotta be clicked on there maybe, or no? I
think
don't
so.
know. So,
My slide advances on my screen, but not on, so like there's the first slide. And there's the second.
oh, do you have?
Sure.
Oh, there, and then there you go.
Oh.
but it's-
There we go. All right.
Now we focus in, we'll be good.
I'm curious, have you read these comments?
Perfect.
What year are we in? Right. We're in 2022. Right. It's 2011. Right.
Okay, I'm just checking.
There.
It made more sense if I thought that. Right.
Okay.
Uh, Okay, so we know the survey is about 15 years old. It said it was sent to about 1,400 property owners. They estimate that it was 2,700 people. Here at the time, there was about a 20% response rate, which is not necessarily a low response rate, given this kind of survey. I think the thing you have to keep in mind is that it's not a random survey. The people that do this for a living will tell you that if you really want a random survey with a particular plus or minus controversial confidence interval, you have to do a random survey and either call people randomly on the phone and use cell phones. There's a whole science to all that. I had the opportunity to work with one firm that did that. We did a survey that was online, like this one was, or mailed, and then also did a phone survey to back it up to have a random survey. When you get the political, polls that tell you that so-and-so's so much ahead of the other person, or there's a bond issue that's likely to pass, they're typically doing random phone surveys. But this is a way to reach people. It is one type of public outreach. It is not the only type we're going to talk about, but it is something that is fairly easy to do. The good thing about a survey is that you reach everybody. The downfall side of that is that you only get asked one question, get one answer. There's no dialogue, there's no discussion, there's no learning from each other. There's just a question answer. So in going through the questions, these are just my takeaways. Again, your interpretation of this might be different. People think of Whitewater Township as rural, agricultural, and quiet. That was the responses to the first question. People want to continue to be rural, agricultural, and safe. They kind of added this a safe issue to that. There's other responses, but they kind of fell away in terms of popularity. People are generally satisfied or neutral about township services, which is a good thing. Although people sometimes get confused about who maintains roads and who doesn't, and what services are provided by what government. But in all, we said township services, and there were a lot of things that the township does or doesn't do in there. But anyway, we asked people, people want the township to develop or improve the shorelines, fire protection, farmland, open space. I'm not sure what was going on with fire protection back in 2009, but maybe there was more issues than at present as to why that bubbled to the top. It's interesting, the residents seem to support growth, but they want to plan for it. They just don't want it to happen. They want to see us actually making deliberate decisions about what the future looks like. And desired types of development include small scale commercial, and you'll see this a couple times here, flower shops, bakery. It's definitely a bias against big box kind of retail commercial. They want to see if we're going to have commercial, it should be small. Agricultural tourism is another issue brought up, and then of course residential. So that was the first 6 questions. The next ones, people are really not sure about redevelopment in Williamsburg, but they seem supportive of, again, small scale commercial, single family residential, and restaurants, cafes. Wasn't quite sure what to make of the issue about redevelopment in Williamsburg, but we'll get to that in a little bit because there's some follow-up to that. People do not seem to support higher density residential, such as multifamily and apartments. That's really not that big a surprise. Most places have that, although they don't really address the issue of mixed use developments where you might have apartments mixed in with commercial in a downtown kind of setting. So that's an open issue in my mind. Residents support residential developments scattered throughout the township and in areas of existing development and on acreage. You know, those are kind of vague terms. I don't know what to make of some of those areas. In terms of commercial and office uses, residents most want to see small scale commercial. Again, the flower shop, the bakery, sit down restaurants, and cafe, coffee shops. New commercial development should occur along 72 and in the villages, the village of Williamsburg. Again, that kind of conflicts with the issue of redevelopment because you'd have to redevelop something to get that happening. The final rounds of questions, people are very supportive of agricultural based tourism. And they define it as farm stands, you pick Christmas tree sales, those kind of things. I think it's probably broader than that, but that's how it was defined in the survey. They most want to see agricultural tourism, commercial service and clustered commercial with open spaces on 72. Not sure how to interpret some of that, but there's some indications, again, kind of a bias against big boxes, more towards smaller scale commercial. Commercial areas along 72 should have natural open spaces and appear as it is today. So don't overdevelop it is the message I get from that. People are generally split on the idea of accessory buildings, pole barns, garages should be allowed on a lot without a home. There was like, I think 50-50 on that. And then similarly split on the issue of residential accessory dwellings being limited in size. Sometimes in rural areas, you get large pole barns, 2 or 3 times the size of the house. That can be an issue. And then finally, people generally like home-based businesses and trying to encourage that in the township. A handful of priority zoning issues, junk, trash, noise, odor, signs, of course. They support the 5-acre minimum lot size in the southern parts of Whitewater Township. People support new smaller lot size in Williamsburg and in subdivisions. And again, I don't know that it was a clarity on that in my mind, but that was the answer. And more stringent septic tank regulations for property along shorelines and waterways. So in reading the survey, those are my takeaways, that not necessarily yours. You might have kind of drawn into other issues, but in my mind, what comes up is some relevant questions going forward. Obviously a lot has changed in 15 years and there's significant opportunity to dig deeper into issues and explore new ones, such as, this is again, my list, rural character, ask people to define what elements of the natural landscape, natural or man-made landscape create rural character. There's a whole list of issues: open fields, building architecture, woodlots, agricultural fields, farm buildings, operations, scenic views, orchards, lots of different elements can define rural character, not just no development. I'm curious as to whether people identify any scenic areas in Whitewater Township. I can name a few, but be interesting to have the survey respondents identify a certain corridor or a certain area where there's some particular scenery. And the planning implications for that is that would really impact potentially development in those scenic areas. 1-acre lots for agricultural development. Presently, the minimum lot size for a single family home in the agricultural district is 1 acre. Is this appropriate given the interest in rural character? I'm not, that's a pretty important question, I think, for the township. The agricultural tourism, I think we can get more of a definition of what that is and what people's minds that is. Short-term rentals is a good opportunity for the township residents to weigh in on how they feel about that. I don't know that we have any empirical evidence one way or the other. Redevelopment in Williamsburg. It seems inconsistent in this topic. We could reframe the question to get a better understanding of what people think about that. I've been working on some parts of the history portions with Luann Snyder, and I'm amazed at what was here back 50 years. This was a real town back 50 years ago with commercial and a school and all kinds of stuff, and it's gone. But
Not the school.
pardon?
No, that's a different school.
No, the old school off of Elk Lake Road. That was. So I think we can give some mixed use, some attention to mixed use development, provide some graphics and talk about mixed use in terms of vertically and horizontally mixed, and ask if anything's appropriate in the township. Sure.
What I keep hearing and seeing as I'm watching this is that we're not ready for a survey. We need to meet with people first and have
I guess, I mean, that's what jumps out at me, is that we would be making a ton of assumptions, just as it appears was done in 2009. And until we had, I forgot what you called it, but we hall gatherings, whatever, where we talk with people and get what their definition of rural is, and we have an understanding of what that is, then we could frame questions off of that. Is that how you understand it?
Well, I think that's what this will do for us. I think this, we're gonna get the answers I think we're looking for off the survey. It just depends how they respond, you know, is it written or I think
Yeah.
we'll get our answers.
Yeah. Well,
Opposite of that.
Okay.
That you would have. What did you call that?
Some outreach.
Yes,
stuff.
outreach and meetings with, inviting the township and talking to people and engaging in that dialogue before you would write the survey. So we would know what to put in the survey,
Mhm.
what's pertinent today.
Or at least, before we finalize the survey, we could probably come up with some basic stuff that we know needs to be addressed, but adding some of this public comment is a great, having a dialogue with the public and being able to add that to the survey is a great idea, I think.
I think we've had quite a bit of input at some of the meetings from the public on rural. That is still very important, and I didn't really, I understood, I've heard that several times, but when these projects come up on the Bags Road project and that was it Sunset or Sunlight Resort? I mean, the people that came in and they're almost in tears, thinking that this was going to happen. And they say, definitely the reason they are here is because of our rural atmosphere as it is. Now, yes, with the internet and being able to work from home and things like that, there may be some tweaks need to be done to that. And as far as the fire department, there was a lot of, there was a project to build a great big fire station back then, and everybody was opposed to it. Well, you probably remember that.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of comments in there about that.
Property was donated and they were gonna rechange the whole thing and.
They just said, we don't need that monstrosity. And
Well,
I lived here then and I was aware of
That
that.
was back, as we were breaking the bond with the Traverse City Fire Department too.
Yeah, and I was surprised that there wasn't a lot of support to redevelop the village of Williamsburg. They're just, when I read that survey, there wasn't
Mhm.
much support for doing that.
Mhm. Yeah, there's just a couple more here, just in terms of the, one question I've put in surveys before has been right direction or wrong direction. Ask if Whitewater Township is a better place to live today than it was 10 years ago. And not so much that the yes or no is important, but explaining why people think it is. They might say, there's too much traffic, there's whatever, a lot of things, but you're looking for common themes in the answers that come across. You could, give them some responses to choose from, but if they write in something, you can generally see similar things popping up. Traffic problems, certainly that's important if there's congestion or safety problems that people consistently point out. And then the historic preservation part of that, we lost a lot of historic buildings. Is that an issue to people? Most of them are gone. It's hard to appreciate what was here. I'm kind of blown away by it, quite honestly, because you look around at what's here now and it's just a shadow of what it used to be. So anyway, those were my quick review of that. But again, that's why we have a committee here to look at this and to think about. And the survey is just one public outreach. I think the workshop, whether it's a workshop, whether it's a public meeting, I think what comes across my mind is that those are generally the more time intensive efforts to put together. Like you don't want to just have a meeting at the school and put people around tables and say, what do you think? you know, you really want to put specific issues in front of them. You want to give them information. You want to make their time valuable in terms of their opportunity to weigh in on what they think is important. So the way I've seen it done mostly has been the survey comes first as a way of trying to isolate, you know, what are the key issues and what do we want our residents to focus on when we get together. The survey is, I don't say quick and easy, but it's easier than doing the workshops or the meetings or, you know, the, whatever you want to call them. So, but I mean, I guess each community is different and we've got committee members to talk about what they think works here. And what works here isn't necessarily what works in Acme or Traverse City or, and like in Traverse City, I know they're working on their master plan and there was Heidi has forwarded some material to me here. Just they're doing topical issues on tourism. For example, they broke it down differently because, you know, their concerns are different than what they are here.
I had a question on that survey, Randy, could we have like the last, on the bottom section, we're asking specifics and have a spot where they could make their comment. This is what I want to see. And would that take care of it? Just have an opportunity where they could weigh in on something that could really concerning to them.
That
Yeah,
was
for
in the
sure.
last survey.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of comments.
Yeah.
Pages of.
I really liked Denise's idea to go back through public comments and kind of take out those as some of the issues to address in a survey. And rural is, you know, that's a key one we've heard several times, but what really struck me was when you said, how do we define rural? So were you saying that in the survey, we would give them options of how they would define rural?
Sure, we can give them like 7, 8 options. There's a couple like orchards. Some people that speaks rural, some people see open pasture, some people just want to see just large lot.
Status quo and simple is rural to some people.
So we can give them a choice and then, yeah, and then so that way that gives us some guidance in terms of, you know, okay, the township residents are most concerned about preserving these assets in our township.
Because if we left the question like status quo, for me, and what I look out my back window is different than what you look out your back window and you have through yours. And so again, our definition of rural is all very different. So I understand now what you're saying. You do the survey first to pull out those issues, and that helps me understand how you would come up with a definition for rural by giving them options to choose.
Yep, or write in their own if they, but most times people would like to check off the box and say, give me your top 3 descriptions of rural, and they might pick orchards, whatever.
Commercial district now, but people aren't really going to the restaurants. You got food trucks coming to you and at your events, to your yards. We could have just a spot that's a pop-up and food trucks like.
Yeah, you can just do a food truck park.
Park 4 to 6 Wednesday and have like 5 different foods and people go get their deals and eat at their picnic tables or just go. Bring your own chair and table, and I mean, people do that. I've gone to parties where you bring their
Yeah.
chair. That kind of thing, and the aspect of the scenic area, that kind of reminds me that in the up at Cotton Springs, the road.
Oh, yeah.
There's something.
The tunnel of trees.
The roads are another big issue. Gravel roads or blacktop. I mean,
And have the scenic road, and it would bring people into the township and get them here, and if we had any small businesses, it would contribute to their business, but it would get them, you know, it would maintain our rural character. Lost Heat Trail development, Grand Traverse County has a lot of trails, and they have them, I have they have them on a website.
You need to move to this microphone.
Denise, they can't hear you. You need to move the microphone.
I'll move back to my seat.
I'm
too.
sorry, I forgot my manners. Don't ask me to repeat everything, but to maintain the rural character of the township, there are businesses that and things that we could do to do that. We could do the scenic road aspect. We could have pop-up food truck on every Wednesday night. We could have a farmer's market Saturday morning or Thursday, Tuesday morning where everybody would go for a couple of hours and get, we have a lot of farmers around here. We could just have them bring a table and chairs and sell what they can. And when it's gone, they fold their table up and they're gone. It doesn't have to be at everybody's house along the road. But we don't have to think of commercial businesses the same as we have in the past. And that means we don't have to build the buildings. We just have to, if we had a treed, obviously I've gotten out and around. Anybody been to the Farm Club restaurant? It's on the trail, I think it's the Tart Trail over maybe Leelanau County, west of Traverse.
I've heard of it, but I've
Yeah.
not been there.
It's the trail that everybody walks, runs on, snowshoes on. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's out, the Farm Club, it's a restaurant, bar. People ride their bikes for a couple miles. They stop, they have something to eat and drink. They get on their bike and they take off and they go on their way. We only have one piece of property that I think one of the trails kind of touches into our township. I think that may be, I don't know if that's a biking trail or whatever, a mountain biking trail. I'm not sure, but that person that has that property could do the same thing. They could have anybody go to I hate to say this, it's microbrewery outdoors of M22 going up to Sutton's
Oh.
Bay.
Hop lot.
You go in and there's
Oh,
picnic
yeah.
tables and all that. It's out, you drive in, it's in from the road, you can't see it, but you go in through the trees and everything and there it is. And people love that. They go in, they're sitting at picnic tables and, that kind of thing we could do here. It doesn't have to be fancy. People like being outdoors. And if we want to maintain our rural character and our love of the outdoors, we could do things like that and keep this going. However, once we do that, I mean, I think it's a great plan. I just don't like if you go to maps and you put in Williamsburg, Michigan, and it shows you a picture, there's nothing below, like, what can you do in Williamsburg, Michigan? There's nothing mentioning about Lossy Trail or, Whitewater Township Park or anything. And we need someone to develop that social media aspect of our township. And if we get people to come here, then we have to be prepared to have them come here too. So that's the other aspect of it.
Well, there's a lot of,
9:05. So do we
Want to keep going for another hour or what do you guys want to do?
I'd like to get this.
Well, we're missing a couple members of the committee, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like three of them? Four?
Vicky,
Their input's pretty important.
No.
No.
No, and I guess, well, first off, because we're already at 9:06. we have to do something.
Yes, you have to-
continue it all.
Yes, we have to point out order. We have to extend our meeting if we want to extend it.
So
But how long do you want to extend it for?
spend 2 hours on it.
Does it have to stop at 2 or 3? 4 meetings.
2 or 3? Yeah, I do. I thought it was 2, but
Well, just to be safe, are we okay with?
You can just keep going.
Just
There's
keep
no
going?
point.
Okay.
We've had 3-hour board meetings before.
What would we do typically next? I mean, we could ask the other folks that couldn't make it tonight to give their input.
Well, I guess I was thinking there was probably another meeting would be held between now and the next planning commission members would have a little more time to have them weigh in on what their thoughts are on this and then go from there. And so,
Because I'll tell you a couple more things that I had
Yeah.
jotted down now that I know that we're here and just to get that time. What I noticed, one of the things that stood out to me was the age, right? So majority were 55 and up.
That was 15 years ago. So my guess is, if that still holds true, I mean, are we looking at questions and services for seniors? And then on my personal level, I have small kids, so I'm thinking
You need both.
I need, yeah, what about community centers that are both all age appropriate or things along that line for aging and bringing younger families to the community? So those were kinds of some of my thoughts. Along the short-term rental thoughts was hotels versus short-term rentals, things like that. What's considered commercial and what's considered, what are they considered, defining that? So yeah, I put schools, daycares, parks, young families. Yeah, so that was the
Okay.
majority of it. I mean, I had other things, but
One of the tricky areas of the commercial discussion is that it's common to look at commercial uses by type, like grocery store or bakery or whatever, but in today's world, Meijer is a grocery store. Meijer is
also a big box store.
it is, but
They consider Aldi a big box store.
well, see, that's just it. So, just trying to define land uses by type and name alone isn't always get you where you want to go. A grocery store can be a 5,000 square foot corner store, in Traverse City someplace, or it's a 200,000 square foot Meijer. So we've got to define what we're talking about when we say what kind of commercial development you want here.
okay. So yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us. So let's do this in time. And since we're missing so many folks, do we want to talk about scheduling that next meeting right now? Do you have access to the calendar to make sure we're available here, Lois, and you're available and all of that good stuff?
Yep.
Okay, so what are we thinking? I was gonna really quick pull up what the other folks' kind of schedules were.
I know the board has a meeting on the 8th and the 14th, if you're talking evening.
They have
Um,
evening meetings?
No, theirs is
Oh.
during the day, I'm sorry.
I don't think we need to be limited to evenings. If you wanted to do something day, that could work too. Oh. Okay.
Have to be at every meeting, but to be here, I work a day job.
So this would be for the
For the committee.
subcommittee type thing, so you wouldn't necessarily have to be there.
No, I'll make sure I pick you up.
Let's see.
We'll get you a new phone, you can zoom in, just to listen.
No, my kids and wife have been trying to get me to get a real phone for a long time. It ain't happening.
You're the reason we're in 2011, sir, but that's okay.
Right. I think these stupid phones are the downfall.
Yes, they are.
Society.
Yes, they are. People don't even talk. to
Friday
each
the
other.
10th? Yeah, are you available? I see Mr. McElwee would be available via Zoom or phone, but he wouldn't be able to be here in person. I don't know about Vicky's schedule. I would probably guess no during the week like that.
She needs notice,
Okay.
unless she could Zoom. Can you
You
guys Zoom
can
on a
for this,
subcommittee?
yeah.
You can Zoom on a subcommittee? Perfect.
Yeah. Let's see, so the 10th, or, I mean, I could do a weekend. I don't know how you feel about that, Lois or anybody else, but
I'll take your kids to work.
here you get my kids.
Just one, just one.
Oh, wait, that's not what you said. I heard it.
Me and the 4-year-old might lose it, but
Okay, so I mean, I can do the 10th, the 11th through the 12th. I don't know. Sure. But we were talking about during the day.
Oh, during the day, I thought you were.
I'm off on Fridays, so I just have to secure babysitter, but we got that covered with Heidi, so.
You better, what did you say?
Oh, no.
Your big mouth. Kids, I'll spend the day at McDonald's. I don't, that's no big deal for me. I just want to make sure I'm not at work. I could take one, but not.
Well, let's go with the 10th and then you guys name the time for me and how long you think. I think we're gonna need a good solid chunk probably.
A couple hours.
So tell me what time you want to start.
9 a.m.
What'd you say?
I said 9 a.m.
Okay, 9 a.m. work? Okay. So then I think we can get together afterwards, Randy, but I do think we need like a special meeting agenda and stuff for the Zoom.
Yep. So Lois, you're available then?
Yep. Great. Well,
Yeah.
good. All right, we'll do that. Let's see. Next, are we good on that? Or did you have anything else to wrap up or homework for us between now and then?
No, I would just, again, study the survey and then think about new questions going forward.
Okay, so we'll actually hopefully get into some questions and
Yep.
stuff. next
Is there
week.
anything you want from me I can to prepare for, or?
If you have suggestions for how to
Okay.
frame those definitions or,
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know where to really begin, so I'm gonna lean on you myself. I mean.
Okay.
other-
Well, I can start a draft, but again, I'm hoping for input and comment and edits and
I
everything.
think personally, I think a draft would be helpful. We can, it's
Okay.
easier than starting from scratch is,
Yep.
you know?
Draft survey questions.
Yes.
I might be able to take one from you. I gotta look at my.
We'll
work
figure it
calendar.
out. It'll be all right.
It might not be bad. I'll just leave one with the dog. It'll be fine.
Okay. So are we good on that part? Should we really quickly, I had asked that we move the annual report draft up because I think that would be really quick. Are we good with just maybe finishing that up and then being done for the night? Are you
Works
guys
for
done?
me.
Okay,
Okay, I just need to say one thing on the, I'll do it board conference. for the Private road thing.
you want me to?
So then you're going to let the clerk know?
I will do that. Yep, I will let her know. And I'll get you
We just
the,
have to make- we just to be real clear on that because it used to
Yeah.
be a mess and I know we don't want that.
no, we don't want that. I will do that. And actually, that's in the bylaws is my job to let her know of any meeting changes or anything.
We put that in writing so that that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Lois.
Okay, so real quick, these annual report, you know, coming into this, we're all fairly new.
Comments are end of it. Pretty good.
We.
I've got it right here.
Sort of did the best with what information we had, and there's nothing that I understand that says this has to be in the annual report. So, I mean, if we're good with it as it is, I mean, we'll do better next year kind of thing. I mean, we'll keep track and have more information to share.
Well, I think next year will
That's
get,
great.
here it'll get a little more defined, because you'll have more to put in there.
Right.
New team, new adventure. There you go.
So I guess the only questions I had were Al's term expiration and Mike's term expiration to add on here. I don't know if you guys know those off the hand, or we don't have to include them.
I
even?
don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Okay.
Now,
Do you know yours, Al?
No,
Okay.
I think. No,
Don't know. Okay.
no.
And the only other thing I put on here, that I circled to talk about was fiscal year 24 goals. The last bullet point there, I don't know. I wanted to make sure we were in agreement, and I think we are, since we talked about the formal requests going forward, but I just wanted to triple check that should be on our fiscal year 24 goals. It says, once the PC is in possession of a complete zoning ordinance, amendments will be prioritized. Is that fair to say? It's in line with our formal request, so
Sounds logical to me.
Okay. So then I think I would just need a motion. This isn't something that the board approves. This is just a motion to say as amended. With updating these term expirations that we would send this to the board to let them know that this is our annual report.
Works for me.
Consensus.
Or just a consensus. Okay, good. Consensus?
Consensus.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So then, I guess we would just really need to talk about the next meeting.
So we're gonna put the flow chart and the SOPs next month.
Yeah,
Right
since
here.
Rebant and DeYoung's gone, yep, that does
Okay.
bring us to discussion on private roads.
You guys, here's what I'm thinking on the private roads, and I'm welcome to other ideas. We don't want to fail because we've already failed. So not thinking about what happened in the past, let's look at it like a new adventure. Okay, let's forget that the board had three, they couldn't make up their minds. Let's forget that they threw one out, didn't have one. My question is, Randy, how important is this private road ordinance to your master plan? Does it fit more with it? Is it more of an ordinance problem or is it more of a master plan
I
problem?
think it's an ordinance problem. I think it's not gonna hold up the master plan.
Okay, and how critical of it do you think this is?
I think it's very critical,
Okay, so.
but not for reasons for the master plan. but
No,
for-
I understand that. So it's critical, okay? So what if we all took the next 3 weeks that we have and everybody comes up with one, not three, just one private ordinance? And Al, you did a really good job. The reason I'm trying to get away from the subcommittees because we'll never get anything done. So if we all just went through it, I really liked your ordinance. I think it's a little too much in the weeds. It's a little too much like the standard methods, which is, it's okay. That's my opinion. But if we're supposed to be writing our ordinances stupid, simple, anyone can understand them, basically, we have to remember not to get so deep in the weeds. So my question is.
I
can
guess I
everybody-
don't follow you where it is. I mean, it's descriptive, but if you're telling somebody how to build a road, it's gonna have to be
I
descriptive.
get that, but you can write, what I want you to do is investigate some private road ordinances.
I did.
I
Mhm.
did too, okay, but everybody come back with one. So everybody go through all the townships and just come back with one. If you have your own, like, I take it you cut and pasted or you wrote your own, what did you do?
This one here, I
Yeah.
put together, what I did is I took a Grand Traverse County's private
Standard.
road ordinance.
Okay, they don't have a. private-
Well, you could call it standard or ordinance. It's the same thing. It's,
Okay, it's not,
it-
but okay.
well, it is for what we're doing, for what
Okay,
we're
you
trying to
look at it
do.
that way.
Before we all get
Okay.
into the weeds, can I just give you what my understanding of the history of private roads has been? And pose kind of just pose something a little backed up a little bit, I guess. Because what I've learned is that in Whitewater Township, private roads was historically a general ordinance, not a zoning ordinance. Which would mean that the township board has jurisdiction over that, not us. Now, if I understand it correctly, that as a courtesy, the PC was asked to submit 3 different private roads. And we gave them to them and they weren't interested in them. And so I'm personally, I'm not, if we're gonna tell them we need a zoning ordinance and that's something we have control over. Is it pertinent or useful of our time to put it into private roads? When we've tried and they didn't take it. I guess I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on, should we even be bothering with this if we're trying to kind of
Well,
stop what we're doing and focus on what we have control over?
I get it, but did you read some of the survey questions about private roads?
I think we have to, in order, this is gonna have to go with now the general ordinances and ordinances. I can't find where there's a list of a general, I mean, an ordinance is an ordinance. There is no discrepancy between a general
There's
and an
zoning-
ordinance that I can find. I asked the attorney generals, I sent some, and they came back with one was an ordinance and one was, I think they said, used resolution. But I guess you're gonna have to show me the list of general an ordinance and show,
So
we must have two lists.
we do in our township,
We
yes.
have
And
general
so
ordinances.
But-
and
I think
zoning
typically, and this is what I've been understood is that different townships do it different ways. Typically, historically, in our township, the private road ordinance has been in the general. And so to just create something, I guess, is that what we're saying we want to do? We want to create something to put in the zoning ordinance for private roads? Or are we doing something as a courtesy to put in the general ordinances? And is that a good use of our time, since given we've tried it 3 times? I agree, it needs to be done. I don't discount that in one
Yeah. is
bit.
it better
We need it.
changing into
I just don't
zoning?
know if it's the use of the PC's time.
We have a Bags Road project that is trying to be part of the township. And right now, we don't have anything governing how that private road is going to be. So in order to protect our residents, I think we need to have something. Now, if they don't like it, they can turn it down.
Well, I get that, but I think if we all come together and bring our opinion of what it should be, maybe we can mold it and come up with a good product. But I will tell you that go back and read some of these questions, because there's 2 subdivisions that were never finished because they didn't have a private road ordinance. So the builder never put the 2 final coats of the asphalt on, and the people can't do anything about it because it's not in it. There's no rules. And it's not in the master deed.
I 110% agree that we need one. I don't disagree that at all.
So my question is, do you make a zoning ordinance instead of a general ordinance?
Back to my question in the very beginning of this meeting. Can we work on that without the board giving us direction, giving us the okay to work on it? We don't have the authority.
You already.
We already know it needs to be
Right,
done.
they gave you the authority once before, and then they took the ordinance off the books, so.
So do we still
Where
have
are
the
we?
authority?
Say we still have the authority, you took it away.
I think the question needs to be asked.
According to
You
the,
want-
now I checked that online too, and I didn't print it out. But the planning commission has authority to send something like a road ordinance to them. They don't have to ask us for that. We can send that.
And say,
But we can
Okay.
also, as residents, all send our own to them and say, adopt this board. We would like you to make this your priority. I'm not trying to pass the buck.
I
would like to
understand.
hear. if
No,
you guys think-
well, I guess I'm just gonna, what strikes me as odd is that the ordinance was repealed. It wasn't repealed and replaced with something. It was just simply repealed. So that leaves us in nowhere land as far as what is required to build a private road. It's been a private road ordinance, a general law ordinance, not part of the zoning ordinance. If you look at other townships, you'll find standards for building roads in zoning ordinances, but
Yep,
not always.
not always.
Now they're done both ways. I don't know. There must be different legal opinions that have guided that steps, but obviously townships have taken 2 different ways. But the fact that they've eliminated it, I'm not sure where.
They didn't give an answer why they were eliminating. They didn't want to police it. Remember? They didn't want to police it.
I think part of it was there were some
Michael, go to your mic.
some of the older private roads weren't up to the standards that they were trying to impose, and there was no verbiage put in those ordinances that would
grandfathering
exempt
in,
them.
right.
Yeah, and from my understanding, that was the biggest.
But that's
Dilemma.
that's a big dilemma though.
It is.
But you
Yeah.
should fix it. Why not fix it and move on
I
instead
agree.
of just leaving it out in nowhere's
I
land?
agree. But
Okay.
That's
Be
the
it-
crux of the problem.
right, but being as the board has turned down everything that's been sent to them. And going with this, are we wasting our time thing? Because personally, I've wasted a lot of time on this thing.
I get it, but we still need it. So,
And I'm not saying we don't.
and I'm
but I
saying
think-
leave it in their hands
Well,
because it'll never happen.
Well,
Michael, they can't even get to a meeting in less than 8 hours.
I know.
So I want, what is the bet, if we start it as a new project and everybody just does some homework on it and brings something back to the table, I'll take 5 or 6 to them. I don't care. And tell them, well, we need this. figure it out.
I guess my question is, why does it, the 5 or 6 have to come from the planning commission? Why can't it come from Rachel, Heidi, Al, residents giving this to them? Why does it have more merit? I mean,
I don't-
convince me, please convince me, I guess. is what I'm
Okay.
getting.
They removed it and haven't put it back. So what we're finding in our the majority of our problems every time we look at something, Rachel, is we either took it off the books, somebody got mad, so we didn't pass it. I mean, we don't have a police power ordinance either.
But I can't make them. I can't go
I-
to their meeting and make them.
I
pass
completely understand, but
I-
how is this helping us move forward?
None of it does. Every single one of our zoning ordinances has got an issue of some kind or many issues.
Well, right now, as far as the road ordinance goes, we have something that we could present. Now, you can always amend it. If they don't like it, it can be amended, but we have one
We
done.
can't. We can't.
We can, no, they can amend it, but we have something already. If, no, they don't like it, or if there's something.
Do we send back the ordinance they took off the books? And
No,
just add
no,
what
I wouldn't, why send that one back? They've already thrown it out. They don't like it, so send them something new.
They threw it out, didn't do anything.
We can't help that.
Yeah,
We can't go
that's-
backwards
that's
and
not
we
right.
can't keep, we've got something, send it to them and go from
And
here,
I
but
say
we-
if tomorrow's the packet deadline now, send it to them, send it to the whole board now.
This is-
to be
this
in,
is-
if that's what you want as a resident,
well, what I would say as a resident,
get it on their agenda.
Correspondence.
Yeah.
it's a combination of other townships in Grand Traverse County. Now, Grand Traverse County knows how to build a road. And it has, there's some definitions in it and
Okay.
it's
but
better than what
answer-
we've got now.
Right, so answer the question. They didn't want it. Michael, what was their biggest problem with the ordinance?
As I understand it, that they were worried about the older or a bunch, quite a
How
few
did
of
you address the?
Well, right
older
now,
roads?
that's not even an issue in front of you because nobody's come to you and says, I want to build a road right now into this subdivision. We don't have that in front of us. So we're going over things right now.
So
that are not an
you're-
issue
so,
right now.
Okay, but what are you gonna do with the private roads that already exist?
The one,
This is
we're
just
not
for
making,
building?
we're not making anybody tear their road apart and come to this. This is as of now. This would be new.
I get that, but if you have a private road that's not completed, are you on your own?
We don't
You
have
don't
one.
care?
We don't have, right now, all this is something to start with. It's
I get
perfect.
that.
So when you say, well, to go back, we're not asking anybody. This isn't retro. This is, if they pass it, it's effective that date, not retroactive.
Exactly, but what are you gonna do with the people that have private roads that aren't?
They already have them.
They'd be
They already. have-
non-compliant. They're already there.
Sure.
Your issue wouldn't be an issue.
It wasn't my issue.
I'm saying that what
Yeah.
the issue you brought up might not be an issue then.
Right, well, there needs to be some verbiage in that to make sure that is.
That's what I'm
And,
trying to
and it's
say.
effective, I think it's effective on the date they adopt it.
Okay,
So it wouldn't be effective
How about
today because they didn't adopt it today. It'd be only effective the day they adopt it.
I mean, after the.
And it's
public
not
hearing
retro-
And after the, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking months out.
Go through the
regard.
whole process, so they're not gonna be able to
It'll
put in
only-
what you.
And it would only affect, it really needs to say something to the effect, it would only affect the
New
from
road
this
going
point forward.
Yeah, I think it does. I have
Well-
to read back to it. And I'm.
That's
gonna
what
do-
you.
I'm not gonna do that.
So no, so you know that that's what has to be in there, Al.
Yeah, but anybody that currently has a road, it would be non-complying to the standard. But what if they wanted to improve their road, but not bring it up to the standard? They wouldn't be able to do, well, they'd have to get a variance. Because say, well, wait a minute, your new ordinance says it has to be such a road, but I can't afford to do that, but I need to improve my road because it's got a bunch of mud holes in it. But I can't afford to bring it up to the current standard.
And as
Then
soon
they're
as you
gonna need
start
a
making
variance.
nonconformities, you're taking people's property value away from them.
Right.
So
So
there's
there's-
a little bit of a slippery slope there.
Do they need a permit to
Yes.
fix the road?
If you have a.
This
an
should only be
ordinance
about
for
new
a road that
buildings.
you say,
This is
well,
only about.
This is
new.
about new
Going
private
forward.
road
This,
construction.
this,
forward.
this is new. It's not, we're not making or asking anybody to go back or bring that up to this. What we're saying, this is a standard going forward.
Right, but if you have a
Mhm.
private
That kind of
road,
verbiage,
that's
yeah.
what you gotta follow now.
Does not apply.
It's for new construction of
Oh,
private
oh,
roads,
new road.
only new
Okay.
construction.
Yeah,
It
that
has
works.
nothing to do with existing ones. You want to be sure that the developer is putting in a road that meets basic standards so that you're not handing over a deficient road to the residents to maintain.
So you're not having the problem like trucks did, my subdivision did, everybody else did, where the builder said adios, here's your subdivision. See you later.
Or you're making sure the slopes aren't too steep or the curves aren't too tight, all the design parts of that are in there,
As long
but
as
that's
it's
once
in
it's
there,
built.
you'd be good to go.
Pretty sure it is.
So to me, I think the question is we need a consensus on, do we want to make this a priority of the PC? Or not? And that's the question I'm posing to everybody to give us a consensus on which way you feel on it. If it should be our priority,
It should be a priority.
but should it be PC's priority?
It's gonna hinder us either way, so. It's.
The
it's
the
needed
ball
for
isn't
the
gonna get
plan.
started rolling unless we
Priority
start it
right now.
rolling.
Right, unless we start.
The
pushing
board
it
isn't
off.
gonna start this. It's obvious. They've let it go all this time without saying we need this fixed. So the ball isn't gonna get rolling unless we send it in motion. So I think, I mean, I wasn't trying to say we shouldn't. I was just asking the question, do we have the authority? Because I'm a little bit confused on that.
I am too. I mean, I don't.
But we have to either push the ball in their court or at least say, here it is, please do it, because we're gonna be. Because if we don't do something soon, we're gonna be stuck.
I had a question for Randy. I sent that question to the Attorney General's office and that, do we have, does the PC, do we have authority to do something and give it to the board? And their reply was yes. Do you agree with that?
If it's in the zoning ordinance, yes, if it's part of the zoning.
Part of a
ordinance.
zoning,
Right.
and would a road ordinance be part of a zoning ordinance?
Well, here it's been a separate ordinance. a
Okay,
general-
There's no
But we
zoning.
did use the term ordinance, so it would be an ordinance. Is that right? Or
Zoning has no number 26. It's put forth for all. What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna,
okay.
that's probably a Chris question, but it's been a separate ordinance for whatever reason. And so I don't know. But the private road standards do exist in zoning ordinances, so you'll find Acme, I think, has it that way, in East Bay.
So are we proposing then we want to write them something to put in the general ordinance or the zoning? What is it that we want to do?
Well, I think
Where do
that
you think it fits?
given,
better?
given the whole thing, I think it still is a general ordinance given all the other things going on with the zoning ordinance we talked about earlier.
Right.
I hate to muck that up further.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's my thought too, because we're contradicting ourselves. If we're saying we're not going to work on major changes, yet we're gonna go and work on
The-
major changes. So,
Right. Earlier in the program here,
yeah,
28 was the only thing we're gonna work on, so.
Well, what if we sent them Al's private road ordinance and said, please start reviewing this? Because we need it. What if we did it what if I stood there and said, this is a private road ordinance? To complete our task, we need this ordinance. And a private citizen wrote one for you. Here you go.
There you go.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Fair?
mean, yeah. I mean, we could also.
I
make it as
just
a
don't want
private
to stop the process.
I don't either. I'm not.
No, I
trying to. I'm
Oh,
trying
no,
to-
Rachel, I get it. We
Yeah.
gotta talk out of the box, so we're never gonna, we have to figure out different plans here because we keep getting brick walls.
I
And
guess
what
I'm
would,
just thinking like, I mean, I'm game for doing it. I can go find some. I've done it before a few months ago.
I
and
know,
just
we
said-
spit out,
I
right.
just got.
It's not hard to find.
Residents or us as a PC, how it should be. presented. That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think we send it to them as a PC and say, listen, down the road, we need this. This is
Well-
on our to-do checklist.
It's not-
There you go.
Not down the road. Right now, we need it because we have issues in the township right now.
Right, you do.
This, I mean, this is an issue
The
to
only
us right
thing is,
now.
I don't know. 'Cause, shoot,
Oh.
I'm serious.
I sent one, Mike, to some of the other ones, but I didn't want to stop by your house.
I was,
But that's a copy for you to keep it.
you can stop by anytime. My wife's there all the time.
Okay,
Thank you,
I
Al.
see your truck there, and so I told Kathy, I said, well, I better not, he might not like that, so.
Yeah, no, you can stop anytime.
Okay.
So
He
why
doesn't shoot you. He waves.
Well,
So should
lately I
we,
haven't.
So do you want me to take this to him? I'll take it to him.
I don't know that everybody's seen it yet, and I mean, unless you're doing it as a resident, giving it to my, there's a difference between, are we doing this as a PC, or are we doing this as residents concerned and wanting this done? So in the essence of time, I guess I am open to like, what if we all do bring something back to the next meeting? And we share it with everybody.
There you
Everybody
go.
submits it and it all goes in the packet so they can all be looked at, and then we,
There we
instead of
go.
spending an hour trying to write one, we just pick a couple to send or something.
There you
like
go.
that. I
And
mean,
just give them a variety. If you give them a variety, okay, you're killing them with kindness.
but see, I feel also like we could do this a lot faster if every one of us tomorrow sent them one or two and asked them to put it in for communication and talk about it. We, in the correspondence, we could have it in
And
the
where
packet
is-
on
and
3/14
where- okay,
versus our meeting in
okay.
April.
Want me to play devil's advocate now?
Yeah,
Where's your correspondence going, Denise? Where's your, cause have you had to bring your correspondence back out of a packet or it never got in a packet? There, it's not a solution that works.
Yeah, correspondence doesn't always end up in the meeting.
Mm-mm. You
if
can't,
6 of us send them one,
Yeah,
send in
yeah,
one, I mean, something's gonna make it.
They will, if it's in.
right.
Randy, from the PC, because we are the PC, can we individually send
As a.
to the, like the supervisor
as a
without,
Resident.
as a resident?
As a-
Okay, you can do that. Okay.
Sure.
Cause allergies.
I have
You sent
email I
yours
put
up, right?
together 3
Pardon?
months
You already
ago.
sent yours to the board, right? No, you
Yes.
sent another, you sent a letter. You didn't send the private road. Notice. You sent a
I
letter.
think I sent I'm gonna hold off on that one for right
I
now.
think it's just. a
I'm
letter.
gonna hold on, but I can send it. So if there's, as a resident, if there's no issues, I'll just send them a copy of that. And Mike, you said the one thing to want to make sure is it's clearly written that this is not retroactive. We're not gonna go back. This is forward. From the date it's signed, it becomes an ordinance. But not, it's
I
not.
I think that's key. I
Now,
think
if
that
you
will help
redo,
us move
if you,
forward.
right, if you redo the road, you have to follow those standards. Cause that
Yeah,
covers,
from this point
yes, from
forward,
this
you're
point-
putting, yeah,
if you're the people on Trex, whatever that subdivision is, and they gotta come and do a new road, those are the standards they have to follow.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna go to them, go, by the way. You
but
don't
like
have to.
Carl was saying there too, well, if somebody wants to work on their existing road, that's an existing road. That would be
It's
exempt
private, you're-
from
yeah,
that.
Correct. It's
And I
private.
think we need to be, that's an existing road, and if they want to do something on it or haul in a few loads of gravel and up and make it better for themselves, then let's let them do that. Let's not cumber them with a rule that, that's
Doesn't
not what it's
exist,
intended
right,
for. This is
right.
trying to cover, so like, if there are subdivisions going in, they have to
There's
meet the standards, and you'll see in that too there that there's legality wise, when you do that, they have to be able to pass a fire truck, utilities, and there's one other ambulance.
Emergency vehicle.
So it has to be built to a standard to do that. Well, this gives them a standard to do that.
Right.
Well, is everybody okay with coming back? We'll bring some back and then just send them. What if we send them a bunch?
What do you want us to do? I don't understand. You want, what you, as I understand, it, you want me to get on my computer and try to find a private road ordinance somewhere, someplace,
I don't care where, Carol, somewhere in Michigan, possibly.
you know, be in Michigan, would be good. Try to Google it and see if you can find private road may or may not be the right word to use. I'm not sure, but
If you just put private road ordinance, they fly like crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna suggest that we do that. If as residents, we want to submit something, we can. Otherwise, we will bring it back
I'd
next
hold off,
meeting.
Gail. Let it go in and get as many together and send it as a group, because I think when one
Okay.
person says something, it falls on deaf ears.
All right,
But
so
if you wanna try.
But I think too, though, and what's like the other thing, if you send people, say 7 of them, then it's gonna be overwhelming.
Right.
And they're not gonna look at anything. Well, send them one, but if we want to look at them all and take things out and add them, that's good. Like Mike had a good point to make darn sure. And like Carl had a good point too, make sure we're not saying that you have to go back if you want to add some gravel. We're not saying that at all. This will be effective the date the board approves it and signed it. And once it goes to public hearing, and it's passed,
So this
is forward.
So is the consensus then that we do want this on the next agenda as something the PC is going to tackle to send to them? That's where I keep coming back to. Are we going to make it our issue or are we?
I think we should.
Yep, I think we should too. Don't give them a chance. Just keep the ball rolling. Because otherwise, we're gonna be sitting here waiting with nothing again.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll put it on the agenda for next. All right. We good?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. Next meeting date is April 5th at 7. Are we good with that?
Yep.
I wanted to propose a special meeting for March 15th. There's this video training that Heidi found. It's 2.5 hours. It's a pre-recording. I put a blurb of the, there's like a 16-page outline. And it looks really good. I haven't watched it, but is that something you guys would be willing to do together, having a special meeting?
What time is it?
What date? and time?
March
It'd be
15th.
the 15th of March from 6:30. So we'd probably go till about 9:30 because this is 2.5 hours and we
Yeah.
have to have the before and afters. Is that okay or no?
Yeah.
You said from 6.
6:30,
Oh,
9:30.
Did you check the calendar, Laura?
From
It's open.
6:30 to 9:30.
To do what?
Oh.
Rachel, what is the meeting
Page,
for?
page
What about the
162 of the
when's-
packet.
When's the crack meeting?
21st.
It'd be page 162 of the packet.
162 of the packet.
I got this from a friend of mine that's a zoning administrator and she gives this class to all her planning commissioners and board members. She serves them popcorn and there's a movie. No discussion, no, what? Open to the
Yeah.
public? Should we open
would
it to the
just-
board members, send them an
Sure.
invite to movie
It-
night?
Yeah, it
I'll
would
make
just
the
be on the
invitation.
screen. It looks like it would be really helpful. I think it would be good. I want to do it. I believe if it's a special meeting. it's
I'll get a
payable, right?
popcorn, I'll get a popcorn machine in here.
If it's a training, it doesn't have to be a meeting and people can still come.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be as.
So if it's a
as we call it
training, do we have to post it? Yes. Do-
Yeah,
what do
we
we
would.
have-
I would talk to Cheryl about that, but it is considered a training.
So we
and-
wouldn't call it a special meeting. We would call it a training. Is there? a s-
Seminar?
Let's call it a training because that's what it is. the
Let's
whole
call it
thing.
a training seminar.
And then what does that require as far as agendas or anything, do you know?
That you might want to talk to her about.
Okay,
I think that
will.
it doesn't,
Okay, I'll
but
ask
that's
her.
my opinion.
Remember, they set a precedence for different things. Remember, even we read out of the book and we were wrong, so.
Okay.
um,
And then there's another one in the next couple of pages of the packet that Bob had shared with me. And these are actually on-site workshops, so I don't know what the likelihood of, getting something in April scheduled is. Or, costs covered and that sort of thing, but the one that struck me was on page 164 of the packet and it was site plan review. Since we have some of that upcoming, I don't know if that would be of use. If you guys would be willing for me to look into possibly scheduling an in-person training on that.
Since some of you might have to sit through it, might be a good idea.
I don't know that we can get it in time before our first one, but it's still, I think, could be of use. What are your thoughts?
Why don't you see if we could do an open one like this one?
That one we can do on March 15th. We're already.
I know, I get that, but see if one of these, if they'll give you the same, in other words.
Oh,
we can
give you a
just-
video.
Right, we can just get the video.
Yeah, it says build your own workshop. Yeah, I can, how about I get more information? If you guys are
Okay.
willing to do more trainings and
Good
things,
idea.
I'll get more
Little more
information.
information, yeah.
Okay. Do we want more information
So not April 19 right now?
Not right
No.
now. Video versions. Okay.
And I gave you guys a really good read at the end. Sorry, it's a little long.
No, it was a really good read.
It's a good read.
The education at the end is really good. Both, all of them, but. Okay, so we're good on our meetings. We've got the master plan is the 10th. The training is the 15th and the actual regular meeting will be April 5th. Back to public comment.
Oh, 10.
Did you want me to
it
make
here. I
popcorn?
didn't
Do you want
put
me
it
to get a
here.
popcorn machine? I can
Sure.
get popcorn. I have it all pre-chopped.
Any, Denise, do you have any public comment?
I
No.
do public comment,
Lois
the
does.
10th at what time?
9 to 11. That's the,
9 to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the other is 6:30 to 9:30 on the 15th.
I'll send you guys a, you know,
I think you have a
what we're
handout.
doing.
A to-do list?
You have a handout too.
Go ahead, Lois.
Private roads. My road was one of them that was up on discussion a lot. So I have a real thing on that. Part of the major discussion on it, that's a problem, is how many homes. How many homes can be on a private driveway before it's a private road? How many homes can be on a private road before it has to be put to a certain level, to your levels? And on my particular road, if your case is such that now when we add that one more home on our property, on our road, because we've already got 7 and we get number 8, now are we stuck with having to do?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Now,
too, 'cause
that's
I'm
really
stuck too.
difficult, and this is my public comment.
I'm sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
very, very difficult because there's no way. There's no way. And people were told by our supervisor that they can't build on that road. Huh, they did. And the redevelopment question on the survey was, I think, very confusing, and there was a lot of confusion at that time, because when you read that question, it's hard to determine what they're saying, because I answered absolutely not, because I took that as the township's going to expense redevelopment, not promote redevelopment of having private entities come in, businesses, and take care of it. It was the township. And when you look at what's there, we've got not a junk yard, because he sells that stuff, so it's a business. He's got a business all over the road, and we have township property, and we have a post office and a couple homes. What can be developed? It's who you buying it from? The only thing there that looks to me like it can be developed is township property. So the way you word that is going to be very important, because
What?
I ain't interested in developing it with taxpayer money. It's taxpayer money.
Thank you.
I'm the second. Okay. I could be here too. Nice bring up, Lois, because you talk about number 8 house, I'm getting number 6 house built. And our road's not finished. So now do I have that guy finish the road? Because he's destroying it with his construction trailer? You can't answer me that. He's destroying it day by day with his construction equipment, going up and down the road with no rules on it, because there aren't any. If you think construction signs work, they do. But you can't stop you cannot stop your neighbor from going to their house. So you can say no construction traffic, but If I invite him up there, then he gets to go. So the road commission, the only thing they help you with a private road is they go to the middle of the road. 30 feet this way, 60 feet this way. Okay, you're responsible for this much. Okay, so they're not helping you. That is why it's going to be really important that us that are stuck in the predicament because there were no rules aren't writing a check for a new road now because we made rules. That's all I got.
Devil's in the detail.
We have Karen.
It's not right.
Karen?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My vote is to stay on.
Thank you guys for a great meeting. I just want to give my 2 cents on the private road thing. I think you guys definitely need to head that up because if you leave it to the board, it will not happen. There's many things that has been presented to the board that just seem to delay and drag on forever. Randy, thank you so much for putting your presentation on the screen. That was awesome. We were able to see it. And as far as the agricultural, now being at 1 acre, I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked at. I'll bring up Baggs Road, and I'm one of the pain in the butt people on Baggs Road, as we're called. But you've got people that have 10-acre parcels. And then you've got a bunch, you're gonna have 20 some houses with 1 acre parcels. The land doesn't flow. It doesn't flow. It's gonna look funny if it even goes through. So I think you guys, if you could keep that stuff in mind too, and if there's any help that's needed for the surveys, I'd be more than happy to help. Thanks.
Write her name down. She said she'd help.
I know, but I didn't catch her.
That's Karen Boyd.
Boyd. Thank you, Karen. I don't see anybody else. Nope, okay. Commission discussion and comments. Al had one.
Al had a comment.
Your
Oh.
time,
It's your
turn.
time. It's your time.
What I was gonna propose is we have to compile a synopsis at the end of the year. Well, okay, what did you guys do at each meeting? Well, what I was gonna propose is the last 5 minutes of each meeting. Then let's go over what we accomplished, put it in the minutes. Requirement finished.
You just collected off the minutes at the end. of the
Well, what
year.
we'll do is we could come up with what, like right now, we could come up, what did we accomplish tonight?
We did a lot tonight.
And then
Let's
put that in the last
All
5
right,
minutes of
let's
our
recap it.
comments. And then then that obligation is done.
Isn't that what the minutes do?
I don't think they'll let you send the minutes, will they? Is that what they want for
Just saying
report?
that Summarize.
Well, but at the end of the, you're saying at the end of the year, go
You
back
have-
to the minutes and take your notes.
Take
back
your
off.
5 minutes,
make
take your
report.
5 minutes at end.
Stop and get it.
And
It
get
gives
it.
you More descriptive.
Or we could do
minutes.
it now. We say, okay, this is what we want to use for our accomplishments for the meeting. Or you could just look at the minutes and pull it out of there.
I mean,
But just take 5 minutes and say, this is what we accomplished, and then it's done.
I like it because I'm all about recapping what we accomplished and what our tasks to do are anyway, just as a summary at the end. We can use it for the annual report. We can use
That's
it
what I was
for,
thinking.
right, like you said, we can use it
Projections.
for Rod's flow chart. I mean, it will come in handy for a lot of different purposes. So let's do it. I know that we.
Are you okay with typing it, Lois?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we just have to bullet point just basic things that we did. So we'll just start at the top. We,
Quick public comment.
well, we don't have,
Well,
we
that-
know we did that.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
we're
don't
just
need
gonna
that,
do like
okay.
articles, amendment 86. I would just, that's, we,
We approved our bylaws.
yeah,
Okay, good.
we made a form, we're doing a formal request for the ZO zoning ordinance updates. We talked about the master plan.
Getting MTA.
And we
books?
scheduled some meetings. And we're, I mean,
We
I don't
made
know,
it-
we didn't accomplish or do anything with the private roads yet. That's just going to the next meeting. So I don't
Right.
think we would list that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
We're gonna submit the MTA books and we're gonna submit the proposal to the board.
Yep.
and we decided, didn't we, to forward, the articles? Article 28
Amendment
amendments, yeah,
26. Mhm.
So we did that.
86, right?
Yes.
yes.
And then I will be sending you if there's any, like a list afterwards, the next day or two of what, anything that you are responsible for, but really it's mostly Randy and I gotta get stuff to the board tomorrow, so that's the primary things and we'll make sure we get those done.
Action items.
Yes, thank you, action items. So I think it was pretty productive. I'm happy and the education in there is really good.
Oh, I gotta.
We've adjourned the project flow chart and the SOPs, so when Rod and Keith are here, we can have a more in-depth conversation. I'm. Motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
9:58.
Second.
Great.
All right, that's good.
Thank you.
All right.
And